Shanks wakes up every day and sits on the side of his bed and he just every day of his life, you know what I mean? He's like, Shanks, there's a war in Marineford, you gotta go stop. Why?
It's just like,
why? Just went to fight Kaido. I had to fight Blackbeard the day before. Now I gotta go stop a war. I just wanted to live my life with my clown. That was my Sanji cock moment. And I don't think they understand that.
Shanks just wanted to do laundry and taxes with Buggy.
We don't know anything about that kid. Oda was f***ing with you. When Oda said, oh, I guess the dad is that guy. How many f***ing times has he said that? That guy, this guy.
Oh
He's f***ing with you, mate. We have Roger dead. Rayleigh depressed, and honestly, you can censor this for YouTube. Shanks clearly depressed. Buggy lost in life, and then Gabon happy with a wife and child, just living on Elba. To think Zoro and Sanji don't like each other, I just have to say, I'm not sugarcoating it. That is the most media illiterate thing you could ever fucking think, ever. Ever. And I can say that for a fact because the Straw Hats like each other. They have to. They're a family. They're a crew. They like and love each other so much that if you think Zoro and Sanji genuinely don't like each other,
you're stupid.
You're media illiterate. No, you need to look in the mirror. I'm serious. You're really illiterate. Like
say it like Sora. You're stupid.
You're stupid.
You're stupid.
You're stupid. That's how I think about it. Yeah.
Goofy, they're gonna think I've like indoctrinated you.
Well,
like you know, used my womanly mind powers to make you say these things.
You can say you're a witch.
I said we're like two sides of the same coin because you wanted to make your channel because it's just funny. I made my channel because I was like, there's some good writing happening here, and no one's fucking talking about it, and it's driving me up the wall.
For some reason, the agenda makes people like shit on something as fun as Shuggy? Like, are you joking? How loveless does your life have to be to not see the yearning in this? Like, I don't know how to explain to you that this is peak yearning. I don't know how to do that for you. I'm sorry.
Well, like, the thing is as well, because, like, you can ship them, right? Because I ship them. But it doesn't even have to be romantic. They can just like each other. You know what I mean? Like, yearning can be platonic as well. So it's like, this doesn't even have to be romantic between Shanks and Buggy. It's just he clearly yearns for Buggy. Shanks just clearly misses Buggy. It doesn't even have to be romantic. But even the notion of Shanks missing Buggy and wanting Buggy back is just something that some people, they can't wrap their head around it because, and I know why this is the reason, because Shanks is the ultra alpha male Chad of like the One Piece pirate world, right? He's been set up as this big, awesome guy. Luffy, like, he's Luffy's inspiration, so he has to be huge, you know? He's got to be this huge guy. And then finally we're getting some actual insight on his character, which I've been dying for, because I've always said Shanks isn't really a character yet. He's kind of just a piece in the One Piece, basically, that's pushed Luffy forward. So I'm like, he's not really a character yet. He's kind of just a looming figure. He's now becoming a character, and we are discovering, oh my god, he misses Buggy.
That's...
And people can't comprehend that.
And honestly, I just kind of feel like this is how I've always felt and why I enjoy shipping in the One Piece community. Oda loves romance. He does. He's always talked about romanticism and stuff like that. Just because he won't, I don't know if he'll specifically just like do a romance ever, because I think even he said that he's bad at it, but I just think like pure romance, like he does that pretty fucking good, I think it's...
When you say romance, do you mean like love romance or like overall story romance?
Like romance,
traveling adventure, like any romance,
any romance, yeah. So I think that bleeds over in life, but like I said, like you said, it doesn't have to be like romantic love, but come on, dude, you're in the bath and you just think about your homie, that's a little bit like there's some more thoughts going on there. Maybe
clown.
Yeah.
10 years later as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe they aren't gonna get together at the end of the story, but like, does that change how like yearn for
they feel?
You know, like,
no.
Come on.
Well, that's the thing with shipping, right? I don't think Buggy and Shanks are gonna be endgame. No shipper thinks like their ship is gonna be endgame especially gay ships, right? We
Right.
don't think it's gonna
was-
be endgame. I'm not fucking delusional.
But please explain that, please,
expecting it.
because that's a good point. Because I don't think that's what they're getting. I saw so many of those comments on that tweet being like, "Oh, okay, yeah, watch and see what happens," or some shit like that, and I'm like, "You're missing the whole point. The whole point." But okay.
Well, it's like, do I think Oda's writing Shanks to be gay? No. I don't think he's purposely writing Shanks to be gay. Do I think he's writing Buggy to be gay? No. No one is actually considering that Oda is actively doing this, but it's about interpretation, right? And as a gay woman myself, I'm obviously lacking of gay relationships within media. So when I see two people of the same gender that tend to like each other, they seem to like each other, I enjoy interpreting that in a romantic way because I think it's sweet. I don't think Oda's doing it on purpose. Like, I don't think he's making it gay on purpose. Who knows? Maybe he is. We don't actually know, by the way. I have to put that out there.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't think they're gonna be endgame. I just think their dynamic is incredibly sweet and something that I enjoy together. It's like Oda's giving me two like Barbies, right? And I want to put them together and make them kiss because he said, this is what this one is like and this is what this one is like. And I've gone, yeah, I like that shit. I'll take that. I'll think about that a bit more. But I'm not doing it because I think, oh yeah, they're going to get married at the end of One Piece. I just like them. And I like thinking about them. And I like thinking about them in a romantic way. It's not that hard to comprehend. It doesn't need to be endgame for me to appreciate it. I don't need it to be canon lore for me to like go, oh yeah, that oh, I needed that, I suppose. Oh, I'm an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, I just like them together. It's not that hard.
And it actually touches on something you recently texted me about. You were like, a good ship doesn't have to be canon for it to be a good ship. And immediately Oda did the Shuggy thing. Like, immediately, it's almost like that happened.
He heard me.
He heard you. He really did. And then like it just drives home that point. And I think, I don't know, like you said, it's not that hard to comprehend something that's fun. If you don't find Shuggy fun for, you know, actual shipping reasons, which I can't really think of any detractions. Like, dude, yearning for first of all, but like if you're only
Yearning. I like her yearning.
just yearning, that's my only, like, that's the only reason that you need.
Yearning, wanting, missing, desiring, all that kind of stuff.
Pining over someone with vampiric devotion is so sweet, dude. I don't know if you don't get that. I don't know how to put that. I don't know how to make you get that. I don't know what to say.
Well, I think it's because a lot of people, God, I've been talking to many friends about this. It's something I've noticed and I despise it. There's something that a lot of, I want to say men do, where when you like two characters together, two men together, they're like, oh, they're brothers. They're like brothers. They do that all the time. And I'm saying this as clearly as possible, right? Your interpretation means just as much as mine. Shuggy, Shanks and Buggy being brothers, that is an interpretation that you have. That's not actually in the story. My canon is just as less like than yours. You know what I mean? This isn't canon. Buggy and Shanks have never called each other brothers. No one has ever called each other brothers except for the Marines. And in that exact same page where the Marines say they're brothers, they say Buggy's a powerful pirate who can take over islands. And it's like, the Marines lie. That's the point. They don't tell the truth. In that exact same page, they're saying that Buggy's powerful. We know Buggy's not powerful. Buggy went fuck when they said that. Because now he's like, oh God, they're gonna be after me. Because he's not that powerful. He's scared all the time. So every time people, like, especially men, say they're brothers, ill, this is gross, I don't know how to explain. This is like thinly veiled homophobia, where it's like men, just a relationship between men, nothing can be homoerotic about it. Nothing can be romantic about it. They're either friends or they're brothers. They can't have a relationship that's romantic every time. Because that's how many people are getting mad at me. They're saying, Shanks and Buggy are brothers. They're brothers. That's not actually true at all. When Oda writes found family siblings, he's very clear on it. He's incredibly clear on it. Nami and Nojiko call each other sisters. Luffy, Ace, and Sobo call each other brothers. Are they related? No. But they're siblings. When in the story has Buggy or Shanks ever said that they are brothers? They've never said that. Not once, even when they were like separating, when they were parting, Buggy didn't yell, "I thought you were my brother, Shanks," and then he ran away. That's never happened. So when guys say they're brothers, they're brothers, they're brothers, you are interpreting it differently to me. But your interpretation is still not actually canon to the story. And they can't fathom this because it's the one thing they have to try and make people feel weird about liking like this ship. They push this agenda that's like, you're weird for doing this. And it's like, no, actually, you're just trying to make me feel weird when we're just seeing two different things here and they just can't wrap their heads around that. It's something I've noticed. Because I've heard that said for Dory and Broggy as well, by the way. Did you know that?
What did they say?
Someone said to me that they said Dory and Broggy are brothers.
Oh.
That's weird. And I was like, when the fuck were they brothers? Did I miss something?
You're right, it's thinly veiled homophobia, but the funniest thing is in the efforts into the lengths that they go to justify it, they'll be like, no, they're brothers. People always got to make it weird, like they don't know what it's like to have a brother like that. Like you don't know what it's like to want to spend every single day with your brother and go travel the world with your brother and only be with your brother for years. I really will read all that and I'll be like, it sounds like you might. Never mind, I guess. Never mind, I guess.
Like, usually the person you want to spend the rest of your life with and travel the world with, usually they tend to be, you know, the person that you want to be with. I have a big brother. Can't say I exactly want to spend the rest of my life traveling the world with him. I also can't say many people with siblings would want to do that. They love their siblings. I love my brother. Everyone I know, you know, who loves their sibling, they love them. Do you want to live in the same house with them willingly for the rest of your life? The rest of your life willingly in the same house? Just you and your brother or your sibling? I don't think so. I don't know anyone who's doing that. I don't know anyone who is living with their sibling in their house willingly because that's what they wanted. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous because I know that this is a reasonable argument to make and then they'll still argue against it. And it's like, why can't you just accept it's a little bit gay? It's a little bit gay.
Because they're gay. That's where I'm going with it. Like, because they do the same thing with like Naruto and Sasuke with like Sora and Riku. And I was like, dude, like, I've never laid in bed thinking about how I'm going to save my homie. I've never like laid in bed thinking about just any of my homies. I don't know how else to see it other than like, sounds like you're working through something, brother. I don't know. It just feels like you're trying to make this not what it is because you don't want to be what you are. That's what it seems like to me. I don't know. I
mean, I think about like helping my friends when I can, of course. I don't know. Maybe that's just a woman thing. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that.
I mean, I don't. But it's like, yeah, that maybe, but I
But it's like, but of course I don't like I don't think about wanting to like save my friends. And then I think about like, yeah, I want to live in the same house with them for the rest of my life. I have many friends, best friends, and I love them. And I think, oh my God, if I had to live in the same house as them, I might actually go insane because I love them. But a best friend is like someone that you see down the road. You know what I mean? It's someone that lives next to you, not like with you. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe even side by side, but not in the same house for like the rest of your life. Like
just you two. Is the thing as well. That's what's getting me with the Buggy Shanks thing. It's not Shanks going, oh, I wanted to spend the rest of my days with all the Roger pirates.
He just said
just
Buggy.
Leisurely living. Just Buggy. He said, I just wanted to join up with Buggy and sail the world. That is gay.
That's like Luffy saying, if it was up to me, I would have just grabbed Sanji and traveled the world. They would be
about to say.
They would be making excuses like, of course, because Sanji's the cook. And we'd be like,
Sanji's the cook.
Yeah,
I just want to grab Sanji and I just want to leave. And what about the rest of them?
Just have to.
And of course,
like,
you don't have to like the ship as well. Just why the visceral reaction to it? Most people, when they don't like a ship, they go, okay. And they do this. They avoid it. That's fine. What gets me with what's happening with Shanks and Buggy is people are now actively going out of their way to find people who are liking it and starting to, you know, shoot at them.
Well, that was what
talk their shit at them, and it's like, leave them alone. Like
because it's not like we start up. It's not like we pick up our pitchforks and attack people that ship Zoro with Robin. Although we certainly should, but like we don't do that. It's for some reason it's the people that are like getting mad because the story is vindicating something that you said months ago. Like, oh, I bet Shanks is depressed
Yes.
because he misses the clown. Like, this is the
Yes,
story
Goofy.
vindicating you. Like, what the hell?
Actually, right, hang on. No, people were getting mad at me for that because I didn't focus a lot on Shanks's tattoo. But the reason I didn't focus a lot on Shanks's tattoo is because we still have yet to know about that, right? But we're still finding out about what this is and what this means. But when it comes to the Buggy thing, this is something that I have been talking about, as you said, for years. And of course, in that moment, someone made an incredible post about this, and I never noticed this, in the way Oda uses speech bubbles. And I'll send you the panels. When Oda covers Shanks's scar with a speech bubble, it's a moment of vulnerability because it's a tool being used to show Shanks's pain. One side is physical and one side is emotional. Because when he saved Luffy from the big beast when Luffy was a kid, and Shanks smiled down at Luffy and said, "It's okay, Luffy, why are you crying?" He covered Shanks' scar with that speech bubble to show a more vulnerable side of Shanks, a more emotional side of Shanks. And guess when he did it again? When Whitebeard asked Shanks about Buggy, and Shanks had the memory, and Oda covered Shanks' scar with a speech bubble of Shanks saying, "Oh, Buggy." That takes me back. Yeah, we parted and that was it. And he's clearly trying to cut this conversation short. Shanks is trying not to keep talking about this.
Did he really say,
he goes,
"Oh, Buggy"?
He said, "You mean Buggy?" He said to Whitebeard, "You mean Buggy?" Wow, that takes me back. Yeah, we parted in Logetown and that was it. And he said, and that was the end of it. And then he moved straight on and said, anyways. But he was thinking about Buggy in the moment, and he was thinking about them splitting. And I remember reading that and going, this feels a bit too vulnerable. This does not feel like a casual parting. You know what I mean? This feels like more than that. So over this whole time, I was like, something's going on here. There's something about Shanks and Buggy that they are not telling us that we need to find out. And I've been saying this for years. Any Buggy and Shanks shipper has been saying this for years. And then we finally get to chapter, I think 1082 it was, when we finally actually see the day that they parted. We see how much Shanks meant to Buggy. We see what Shanks was to Buggy. You know what I mean? We see everything that they are to each other, essentially, which is Buggy thought Shanks was just so amazing, just incredible. He just could not compare, that he put all of his dreams on Shanks because he thought Shanks was just that guy, right? And then, of course, Shanks hesitated, and that broke Buggy's heart because Buggy thought this man would be the king. He wanted Shanks to be king. He would literally make Shanks become king if he had to. But then Shanks said, I can't do it, not now. And then he asked Buggy to join him. And then Buggy ran off. And in that moment, when Shanks was asking Buggy to join him, that felt like, is it just because Buggy was there? You know what I mean? That was the question that we were asking.
It did feel like that, yeah.
Then we get to the new chapter of Shanks saying, I just wanted a life with Buggy. I just wanted to be a pirate with Buggy and live a carefree life. This was his desire and dream, dude. That's what he wanted. That was his goal. He didn't want to be a big pirate. He didn't want to be an emperor. He didn't even want the One Piece. He just wanted to live with Buggy. That's why that shit was so tragic, because Buggy was like, yeah, this guy will be king. And Shanks was like, I just want to exist with him. I just want to live with him. So shippers have been saying for fucking eons, we've been asking this question, what are they to each other? What do they actually mean to each other? And we finally have it vindicated to an extent in the new chapter with Shanks being open about this and being like, yeah, I just wanted to live with Buggy, and that's why that made us crazy. And I think this is why it's getting a lot of people upset who don't like Shanks and Buggy, because the shippers were right. We were right. We were right the whole time. We were questioning the correct thing. We were questioning what they were, until Oda's given us a solid panel telling us this is what Buggy means to Shanks. He means so much to him that he just wanted to be with him. That was it. And I think that's why it's getting people angry, because you can make up all the theories and you can make up all the, I suppose, agendas you want. But the fucking shipper, the gay shipper, clocked Shanks better than you did. They did. And I think that's why that pisses them off, because they can't comprehend that we got it. We knew what Shanks was yearning for. We knew what Shanks was depressed over. And it was Buggy! It was missing Buggy. It was just clear as day. It's like, because Buggy isn't strong, why would Shanks care about him? Right? Because Buggy's not a powerful pirate, why would Shanks even want him around? And this is why I think when it comes to shipping and shippers, a lot of the time we tend to focus on the emotional. We tend to focus on the actual care of dynamic and not just on who's the big boss here. You know what I mean? And I think that's why this is something that has, I want to say, caused a bit of outrage to some people. The shippers are going, yippee, we were right, because they're going, how dare they be right?
Yeah.
They can't be right.
Yeah.
It's gay. You know, they can't be right when it's gay.
Yeah.
And I think that's just what's happened. Sorry, I rambled on about that, but it's all these thoughts have been like piling up since this chapter dropped, which is why chapter 1152, that was like the chapter of the century for the Shuggy people.
Yeah.
Because we were guessing it the whole time and we finally got it. And it was just vindication, you know?
Yeah, I immediately, as soon as I read that, not even the whole chapter, I read that panel and I sent you that message. I was like, have you read the newest chapter? Like, I knew exactly that you were gonna like
scream, yell, piss my pants, all the good stuff. I know it's a good chapter when people message me, have you read it yet?
Yeah.
Oh, I know it's a good chapter. Because a lot of, when I was reacting that way, a lot of people, like, they didn't understand why my reaction was so visceral to what Shanks was saying. And again, it's because I was focusing on Shanks's vulnerabilities. I was trying to focus on what Shanks desired. I was trying to focus on what Shanks wanted. And I was guessing the man that he was. And I was guessing, like, the life that he wanted. And again, I guessed right. I guessed that he wanted to just be with Buggy. That's why my reaction was so visceral, because that was essentially my theory, that Shanks just wanted to be with the clown. And that's it. I got my theory approved. And if anyone else in my situation, right? And if it wasn't about shipping, it was about, I don't know, Sanji having cock or something, they'd fucking jump for joy and go, whoopee, whoopee, you know what I mean? They'd go fucking bonkers. That was my Sanji cock moment. And I don't think they understand that. Sorry, Sanji Conqueror's Sanji Conqueror's moments.
I literally forgot what that meant for a second, and I was like, all right, cool. I was like, all right, Sanji.
Haven't you seen the memes? Zoro, your cock is leaking?
Yeah. I love that picture, that art of like of Zoro standing there stupid, like I have cock, and then Sanji like trying to go Super Saiyan. Can you see my cock yet? And then like Kaban and Luffy in the background, like, is this your crew?
No, it was a really good chapter for multiple. I was right about a lot when that chapter came out, by the way. I was right about Luffy liking Loki, even though that was clearly obvious. It was obvious as fucking day, but I kept saying, no, they're not going to fight. Luffy likes this guy. He fucks with him. He's chill with him. Then, of course, he asked Loki to join his crew. And I was like, yeah, like, I felt that this dynamic was like this, because Luffy, it's very obvious when Luffy fucks with someone. I was also correct about Zoro not knowing he had conquerors, and apparently that was a crazy take to have, because apparently, and a lot of the other side of the fandom were talking about conqueror this, conqueror that, but not many conversations around Zoro not knowing if he had it or not. I was like one of the only people out here going, I don't think he knows. I don't think he knows he has this, because he seems quite, like, unaware. Every time someone brought it up, such as Kaido, such as King, only 2 people brought it up, by the way. He was always like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. And now finally, Gaban said to him, how the fuck do you not know you have it? And Zoro went, damn, I'm sorry, I just didn't know. And that's what I was talking about. I don't think he has it, because I think I think he's got some problems, and I think he's got some stuff that's holding him back. And again, I was proven right. Zoro didn't know. He couldn't tell, because something is going on up there, you know what I mean? So I was right about Loki and Luffy. I was right about Zoro not knowing he had conquerors. And now I'm right about Shanks just wanting,
yeah, that's 3 for 3.
to be with Buggy.
That's 3
it
for 3.
It was 3 for 3,
yeah.
right? which is just crazy. So that whole chapter was just it was an explosion of like emotions for me. And the funniest part was it was stacking on because it went from Zoro not knowing he has conquerors, one, Luffy liking Loki, two, and then we got the big one.
Yeah. And then
Shanks and Buggy, and that's why I just exploded because I
Shuggy
was like,
time.
"Oh my god, it's all coming together! It's all coming together! It's happening! It's happening! I'm seeing the numbers in my mind. You know,
Yeah.
I'm seeing the equation."
To me, it's obvious why you were so excited because you literally called it. Maybe they don't have the context to know that you were like, if they weren't there when you descended from the mountaintops with stone tablets ready to preach the gospel of Shuggy.
The Shuggy tablets.
Yeah. If they weren't there, then maybe they don't understand that this shit means something to you, I suppose. But still, it's like, I just feel like it's easy for anyone to understand how romantic it is to say that my dream before this was just to do clown shit with Buggy. Like, that's so, like, the weight of that, even if your first thought isn't romance, to me, it's impossible not to be drawn to the innate romance of that much yearning. Like, I just think it's easy for people to grasp how it could be interesting to think about. Then if you go back and you put the other pieces together like you were talking about, like, that was something I never thought about. When Whitebeard asks, "Oh, where's the clown?" Now I'm just imagining, like, somebody has to do an edit of Whitebeard asking Shanks that, and then he looks down and he's like, "Oh." And then you just do like a flashback montage of like all the good times they had together. That's what's going through Shanks' head right there. But then he's like,
Shanks,
I don't know.
was going
Never
through
mind.
Shanks' head.
Yeah, he's like, it's over.
He said, "Wow, that brings back memories." And it's
Yeah.
like, damn,
Like,
damn, he's still thinking about him, isn't he?
hurts. And like, so this chapter, that panel where he specifically said that hit me like a freight train, dude. I was like, oh my God, he misses Buggy to this day. I was thinking about every other time that they interacted with each other. And then I was thinking about Marineford and how, like, oh my God, Shanks is just trying to keep it together. That's like if you break up with your ex and you haven't seen them in a while and then you just show up and you're just like, hey, what's going on? Yeah, no, hey, you should do this. All right. Later.
He was trying to be chill, but we also have to remember Shanks thought Buggy wanted fucking nothing to do with him.
True, yeah.
Like, Buggy was pretty clear on that. He said, "You're a coward. I'm never joining your crew. I'm never joining you."
So,
like, imagine how fucked that would have been for Shanks to hear when all he wanted, his plan, he said, "My plan was to just live a life with Buggy, live a leisurely life
that's
with
such
Buggy."
a crazy thing to
That's
say.
that was just his plan, right? So his plans for the future, his literal goal, ran away from him and said, "I want nothing to do with you." And called him a coward. So imagine seeing him again in Marineford. You haven't seen each other for, what is it, like 20 years or something insane like that?
Yeah.
All you can do is just, like, keep it together. Like, damn, okay, I gotta act nonchalant about this.
Especially with
because,
everything
he doesn't
going
want
on.
anything.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's like, he doesn't want anything to do
There's
with
no
me, so
time.
I'm just gonna act chill.
That's crazy.
And I think it's really sweet too, because Shanks is who escorted Buggy out of Marineford as well. Because Buggy said, "Wait, if I stick around Shanks, he'll get me out of Marineford." So clearly Shanks has a soft spot for him. Otherwise, he wouldn't do that, right?
That's what
just
I
thought
was
that was very
wondering.
cute.
Do you think that Shanks knows Buggy was just tripping and he was being a little bit bipolar? Or do you think he thinks that it's like, all right, he just hates me for not wanting to go after the One Piece?
No, I think he thinks Buggy hates him.
Got it. Yeah.
I think he thinks Buggy's just not ever, like, 20 years and they never talked.
Yeah, that's true.
Like no conversation. I think Shanks is like, he must hate me, right?
Yeah.
He must hate me. It's like insane miscommunication because it's just Buggy thinking Shanks is everything. He thought he was everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not even an over exaggeration. He really did. And he thought Shanks was the person to be king. And that's a huge thing, you know? That's a huge thing to think. Because we've seen how big that is when it comes to, like, the Straw Hats and what it means whenever they say Luffy will become king of the pirates. That's always said with conviction because it's something huge to determine and say of someone. So Buggy thought that of Shanks. He had that conviction for Shanks. While Shanks just didn't want that life. He just wanted a life with Buggy. So the miscommunication is insane. Because in a way, they both wanted to be with each other, but they both had different ideas of what that would be. And then that's what tore them apart because they just couldn't talk they couldn't talk it over.
Yeah.
Because also fucking Roger died in the same day. There was too much going on. Like,
Oh, that's a good
there was way
point.
too much happening.
That's actually a good point. When Buggy declared that he was going after the One Piece, do you think, because, you know, he's the one that wanted grandeur and, like, adventure and stuff, and Shanks just wanted to be with his clown. Do you think he really wants to be the Pirate King? Like, that's a genuine desire that he has?
See, I think it is because he had that desire until Shanks. Because he thought Shanks was just so incredible that he couldn't compare. So basically, his own desire for the One Piece seemed feeble in comparison to who Shanks was. I feel Buggy didn't think he fit Pirate King because Shanks fit Pirate King in his mind. So I think he wanted it, but he thought he wasn't deserving of it, which is why when it comes to the One Piece and why when it comes to Pirate King, I think it would be incredibly poetic if Buggy did finally get that crown and Shanks was just happy to just be beside him. Because that's what they kind of both wanted. But at the same time, this is why it's like I'm conflicted because Buggy did want Shanks to be Pirate King. That wasn't something that he was like that's what tore them apart. The fact that he wanted Shanks to be Pirate King. So it's poetic that Buggy does become Pirate King with Shanks beside him, but it's also poetic if Buggy still desires to see Shanks wearing the crown. And if, as we know when it comes to One Piece is all about dreams. It's all about what you want in life. Shanks, it's becoming quite clear he didn't want this. He didn't want this life. He didn't want to be Pirate King. Gaban even says to him, you're a child of fate, whatever that means, meaning he's stuck on a path that he never wanted, and his path is determined for him, which is really interesting when we look at Luffy and who Luffy is as well, because Luffy's making his own path. No matter what anyone says, Luffy's making his own path, while Shanks is stuck on a path he never wanted. So we're watching this guy who had a dream that he was forcefully saddled with, or a life that he was forcefully saddled with, wanting something else. And I don't think Oda would want Shanks to not have his dream. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want Oda to write Shanks giving up the life that he wanted because he's stuck on a path that he never desired. And his desired future is literally just being next to Buggy.
Yeah.
Which is why this is such a big deal, because that's his dream. That was his goal. His goal was to just be a carefree pirate with a guy that he liked. It's that simple, right? So it's like, I can't tell what's going to happen. I can't tell what Buggy will want, but I think I can tell what Shanks wants.
Yeah. That's,
I can definitively tell what Shanks wants.
That seems very clear at this point. That's what I'm like. I also want to say, if it was Luffy, he would say, I would just want a carefree life with my friends, you know? Because, like, that's not what Shanks said. Shanks was like, no, just give me the clown and give us a boat. We'll be fine.
Well, Luffy's goal is Pirate King, right?
Right, yeah.
That's his goal.
But if
that
it was
never Shanks' goal.
But if it was, I'm just saying, like, the argument of, like, you know, brothers and stuff. Like, I think if it was Luffy who just wanted a laid back life, he would say with my friends, because there's nothing like he would want the adventure. Shanks just wanted to do laundry and taxes with Buggy. That's it. That's it. That's all he wanted, man.
Again, it's because Shanks is becoming more of a person now as well. I'm really enjoying what's happening with Shanks, because and the fact that Buggy is part of what's like giving him character, that's why they're so entangled, because we are seeing quite literally Shanks's vulnerabilities with Buggy around. Buggy is Shanks's vulnerability. That's quite clear. I think it's really clear. So it's like, for the first time after 20 years or something, we are finally having Shanks humanized. He's a silhouette in the distance. He always was. Now we're starting to step closer to him, and we're starting to see a person. And now we're seeing that Shanks yearns. He desires and he wants, and it's not what we thought. It's not the big boss pirate that we expected him to be. He's just a guy who just wants to chill. And that's something that people really can't fathom. because they can't believe that Luffy's mentor is this guy. Luffy's mentor just wants to be with a clown. They just can't deal with that. I don't think Luffy can deal with that.
Honestly, yeah, if he ever learns that, yeah. You know, I think it would be natural to question, like, why is he like that? Why doesn't he want to go after the One Piece? Why isn't he taking this seriously? Like, why is he only just now, you know, doing these things? But now it's like, oh, he doesn't want to do any of this. He's just maybe the only person who could have done any of the things that he's doing. Maybe that's literally it.
Shanks wakes up every day and sits on the side of his bed and he just every day of his life, you know what I mean? He's like, I don't like Shanks, there's a war in Marineford, you gotta go stop.
Fuck.
Why?
It's just like, why are they fighting at Marineford? What's going on? Fuck.
Just went to fight Kaido. I had to fight Blackbeard the day before. Now I gotta go stop a war. I just wanted to live my life with my clown. I don't want this shit. He didn't ask for any of this, man.
He did.
Like, he did not want this life. This poor bum, you know what I mean?
God, that makes him so interesting to be honest. Like, he's literally just a guy that's like, I guess I'll go break up the war at Marineford. I guess I'll go do that.
He's a lot more interesting because of it. I'm really, really excited what's happening with him. Because I always had the issue with Shanks that he didn't feel like a person. That when everyone liked Shanks, they liked an idea of Shanks. They didn't actually know Shanks. Because we didn't know Shanks.
Yeah.
I didn't know Shanks. So when people were like, Shanks is my favorite character, I was always like, how? He's barely a character right now. He's just a guy who helped Luffy at this point. We don't know anything about him. Now, I'm starting to like Shanks a lot more. So much more. Because now he's finally starting to be a character. I'm really excited for what's going to happen with him in the future. And how Luffy is going to react as well. Luffy thinks Buggy's a bum, a coward, a weakling, an annoying just person in general. And imagine your mentor of how many years going, yeah, I like that guy.
Yeah.
Luffy's gonna go, what?
Confused. He's like, okay, well, then I'm doubting all of your judgments. Like, is this straw hat even real that you gave me? What's going on? Who are you? Oh my
I think he's still gonna like Shanks, of course, but I think his views are gonna change a little bit. I think he's just gonna be a little bit lost.
I just think that it really makes his character better, like you said, because I think exactly what you said. Everybody who liked Shanks or liked Shanks before had this like idea of him. What if that's the same for all of the characters in the universe of One Piece? Like, they have this idea of Shanks, and Shanks every day he has to be that, whether he wants to or not. Like, he has to play into their perceptions of him and be this person, this Yonko, this guy that will stop the war at Marineford, this guy that will protect his friends from Captain Kidd, and then this guy who will blow up Bartholomeo's shit because he burnt his flag and he did this. Like, he will do all of these things, and the whole time he's just portraying himself as that character, and you can't really get much closer than that. He doesn't really give anyone, even the people that he interacts with, much more than the character that he's supposed to be. And until the glimmers of who he really is come out, and surprisingly, what brings out the most of Shanks so far in the story is Buggy. It's not Luffy. It's nothing. It's Buggy. Like, that's crazy.
No, for sure. And like, I genuinely, honestly think the only people who really know Shanks, maybe his crew. I want to believe his crew know him.
I want to.
Although even that, I'm a bit questioning of, because we haven't seen like much of them talk to each other. But I want to believe his crew. Rayleigh and Gabun, of course, they clearly know Shanks. It's interesting that Shanks goes to talk to them still from time to time. I say that very loosely. Maybe Mihawk again. I stress to say Mihawk because I haven't seen them talk much. Although Mihawk's very funny when he talks to Shanks.
Yeah.
And Buggy. I think those are the only people, but specifically Rayleigh, Gabun, and Buggy, who really know Shanks. I think they know more than anything about Shanks, because how can they not, right? And Buggy, being as important as he is to Shanks, of course he's going to be the guy that brings out Shanks' true character, because Buggy knows Shanks' true character. So this is going to be a dynamic that is going to expand on Shanks more than anything we've seen before. It's already doing that.
Yep.
Every time we get some kind of like lore drop with Shanks or some kind of vulnerable moment with Shanks, Buggy's there, or Buggy's included. We've only seen Shanks like 5 times in the series, and 4 times Buggy has been brought up.
Yeah,
right?
at least
Or when
brought
he's
up,
not
yeah.
fighting, when he's not being an emperor, he's talking about Buggy, and it's like it's very clear that Buggy is a vulnerability, and it's very clear that Buggy brings out a softness that we
Dude.
rarely see with Shanks.
What if like something happens and like Buggy is in like captured by Blackbeard or something, and Shanks has to like legitimately like, all right, well fuck everything else, like, oh no, something tragic is about to happen for sure. I've never been more certain of that. Now they're in this really dangerous position of like everybody's going after the One Piece, and Shanks has the most unserious role in the race for the One Piece. So I really feel like he's gonna get caught up with something. And it's just, I literally just thought about what if it's something with Buggy? Like, what if Crossgill gets in over their head? No one's really breaking their backs to save Buggy if he gets in over his head. Like, what if Shanks has to do something there?
I don't think Buggy's gonna get kidnapped or anything, but I do truly believe now that if Buggy's life were on the line to this extent, I think Shanks is going to do something. Again, we have been told that Shanks's plan in his life was to just live a carefree life with Buggy. That was his goal. So how can he possibly let the guy that he had planned a life with in his head just die? Because I was on the fence about that before. Like, would Shanks really do much for Buggy? I'm not sure. Now I'm pretty positive.
Yeah.
If Buggy's life were on the line, if Buggy had a Marineford where he were being executed, yeah, I'm more than certain Shanks would go out of his way to save him. He clearly cares very deeply about Buggy. I think he just could not stand to see this clown die, no matter what. So he's like trusting Buggy to be off on his own adventures. But I've always had, I guess it's a crackpot theory, but now I'm like, is it really a crackpot theory? I've always had this idea that the reason Shanks set up a home base in the east is because that's where Buggy was located. He was there because the east is the safest ocean. And I always thought, is the reason Shanks in the east because of a Roger thing, or is it a Buggy thing? Like, is there a reason he's here? And it's making more and more sense to me that he was there to kind of keep tabs on Buggy and make sure that he wasn't like gone. Because there's something that he says to Whitebeard where he's like, oh, I hear Buggy's. I heard he's still a pirate now. That he says to Whitebeard, like, "Oh, I haven't seen Buggy, but I hear he's still a pirate." And it's like, Shanks, you have the king of intel collection on your crew. He's got an insane intel collector on his crew. We know this, and it's like, you're a fucking liar.
Yeah.
You're 100% getting Buggy intel to make sure he's all right.
I mean,
You don't think he's a pirate. You know he's still a pirate. Don't fuck with me. I know you're lying.
See, but no, Mal, you're crazy. Everybody knows that the real reason Shanks was in the East Blue was because he and Makino have a kid, okay? They were married and they have a kid, and that's why he was in the East Blue.
We need to talk about that because you know how many people are like, he's with Makino, he's got a kid with Makino.
So many.
And once again, this is an interpretation. This is not canon. You have interpreted Shanks and Makino's interactions as romantic. And for what? They interact for one chapter. I'm not even joking. One chapter.
Those are the type of people that fall in love with the bartender. If you think they have any romantic tension, like
it's like I don't blame Makino for like the bartender. I don't blame Makino for liking Shanks. By the way, if she does, Shanks is a rough, attractive pirate. You know, like I don't blame the girl, but. They fucking never talk about each other. When has Shanks been like, man, I just wanted a life with Makino?
I've never heard him say her name, I'll be honest.
Like, so these people go Makino, not understanding. I have more proof of Shanks's feelings for Buggy than you have of Shanks's feelings for Makino. This is a fact.
That's what I'm saying.
And they can't stand it, right? And they're going, but the kid. We don't know anything about that kid. Oda was fucking with you. When Oda said, oh, I guess the dad is that guy, How many fucking times has he said that? That guy, this guy.
Oh my
He's
God.
fucking with you, mate.
Yeah.
He's a troll. Like, how many times has he said that? Because Oda has never, ever, ever answered anything about that kid apart from, oh, the dad is that guy. We don't even know if that kid is actually even Mukano's by blood, by the way.
Yeah.
We have no idea. I honestly think it's not.
The way One Piece goes, yeah, of course. I don't think so. Like, that's...
Because the kid has bright hair. Mukano and Shanks, by the way, both have dark hair. So it's like, okay, already the hair's not adding up here.
I was about to say, yeah.
But Shanks said to Luffy, I'm never coming back here. I'm never coming back to this town. He said that. I'm not coming back here, right? So someone please tell me why in the world Shanks said that. And then over the 2-year time skip, he went, you know what? I'm just going to go back to the East just to fuck Mukano. Then I'm going to leave again. What in the world did he have a reason for to go back to the East? Luffy wasn't there. Ace wasn't there because a lot of people think it's a Roger thing. There is no one in the East for Shanks to go back to. We have absolutely no intel that he ever went back to the East. We have no reason to believe he ever went back to the East. So all these people are pushing the Mukano baby thing. And it's like, there's no reason to believe this is Shanks' kid apart from they talked once. There's literally no reason to believe this. And then at the same time, I'm truly on the train of this kid is just another random baby that Garp picked up.
Yeah.
And he gave it to Mukano and said, yeah, I guess, like, there's another kid. But the only, I think, reason we can think that Mukano might have that kid by blood is because she's wearing a wedding ring now. So she's got a wedding ring on, so she must have gotten married. To who? I don't know. Maybe just some bum in the village. Like, but it's absolutely wild to push this idea that it's Shanks' kid when that theory is just as outlandish. Like, it's a theory. It's not true.
It's even more outlandish. I'll even go further. Even if that baby is Shanks, that doesn't mean it's not still Shuggy time. Like, that doesn't disprove Shuggy at all. I don't give a shit.
No,
I'll be honest.
True. And you know why that's true? Because we've got multiple pirates in this series that are like polygamous. Rayleigh and Shaggy, they're polygamous. Like, Shaggy even says that, like, yeah, Shaggy is like, yeah, Rayleigh fucks around and so do I. She's like, we're married, but we're fine with, like, you know, putting a few more vegetables in the pot, you know? Like, they're fine with it. Oda doesn't give a shit.
Boy,
so even if Shanks were with Mukano, why can't they both fuck around a little bit? Shaggy and Rayleigh have I want to say a decent relationship. Rayleigh's kind of depressed, but
he's horribly depressed.
It's fine.
It's so
he's horribly
funny.
Depressed.
It is so funny. But you know, like you said, I'm sure they're healthy. Gabon, listen, there's absolutely, like, the fact that even happened, he is a freak, dude, and I love it. But good God, like, the fact that even happened, and he's just living like a peaceful life on Elbaf with his mountain of a wife, like. Honest to God, legend. Like, I need Sanji to pull Gabon aside to be like, dude, okay, but for real, how did you do that? How did you do that? For real, like, be for real. Fuck all this Conqueror's Haki shit. I don't care about it. How did you do this? I need to know. I desperately need to know.
I love it because we have Roger dead, Rayleigh depressed, and honestly, you can censor this for YouTube. Shanks. Clearly depressed. Buggy, lost in life. And then Gabon, happy with a wife and child. Just living on Elba. Every one of the Roger Pirates is like, oh my god. Tom, by the way, in prison somewhere. I don't know if he's dead. And then Gabon is the only one just living like the best life he possibly could be living, right?
That's my dog right there. 'Cause honestly, after you do that, he's called the Mountain Eater, Scopper Gabon. Come on, dude. I would retire too. He almost seemed like a little bit like upset when he met Luffy. Like, all right, I guess they're here. I guess my summer vacation is over.
Yeah. He's like, I guess if I die here, I die here.
Yeah.
But Gabon is so Oda's so good with the Roger Pirates because Gabon
I love
is
him.
so he's such a green flag. Because when it was like, Ripley and Gabon aren't actually married, I was like, why aren't they married? That's kind of suspicious.
Turns out,
and then it was it's because Gabon is aging and his wife isn't, and he's really upset that his wife isn't aging with him. And I was like,
he loves his wife so much he doesn't want to hold her back from the things that she
doesn't
can
wanna hold
accomplish.
it
Like
back.
that's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
That is so cute. And there's also they're just so cute because I love when Shanks and Gabon were in the bath and Gabon said, she seems to like it when I'm at eye level with her. That's just so cute, you know? They're such a cute little couple. I think they're really adorable. But that's another thing, actually. I told you this, that it's very interesting that Gabon and Shanks are having a bath together, and Gabon has his happy little family and his happy little life, and Shanks is like, man, I just wanted a life with Buggy.
I miss Buggy. Yeah, Gabon's just drinking in the bath. Like, okay. So as I was saying, you're the child of destiny, Shanks. Like, I need you to pull it together. He's like, yeah, that clown though.
And he's like, I just wanted this life.
Yeah.
My God, I just wanted a wife and a child with my clown.
Gabon is actually just kind of like, all right, but stay focused, dude. What are you doing? You keep drifting. Please stay focused. I'm trying to talk to you about what we need to do.
Yeah, Gabon is like, God, how do I explain this? Gabon is like the more like, okay, but you know, what about other things that we got to do? You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, because I bet when Shanks met up with Rayleigh, I bet that was like a big drinking session
For sure.
of like Rayleigh going, Shanks, where's Buggy? And Shanks is,
how much time you got? He just starts crying. Rayleigh just hugs him. Yeah, I miss Roger too, buddy. Just let it all out. You miss the clown. I miss Roger.
God, can you imagine? Shanks shows up, scar over his eye, arm gone, reeking of alcohol, Buggy not with him, and Rayleigh's like,
yeah,
something.
I'm gonna pour us a drink. That's what we need to do. Let's get drunk, buddy. Come on.
His hat gone as well, given to Luffy.
Oh my God.
And Rayleigh's like, something has happened. What the hell is going on?
You've been through it. That is actually so funny. Hat gone, arm missing, scar over his eye, and no Buggy. Like,
Gone.
son.
Hat gone, arm gone, clown gone.
Clown gone. Son, do you want to talk about it or drink about it? Which one?
Well, you know what I'm more convinced of now? I said ages ago, because Roger said something to Shanks and that made Shanks cry. And so many people are like, oh, it's because One Piece stuff and it's because power stuff and pirate stuff and blah, 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 blah. I said ages ago that Oda tends to focus on the emotional, right? He tends to have these kinds of moments be more heartfelt. And I said ages ago that I think maybe what Roger said to Shanks might be something more personal to Shanks. I think it might be something that Shanks has to come to terms with himself, and that's why it's making him cry. I don't think it's like some huge, like, crazy, like, oh, you have to be Pirate King, like, not to that in that way. But I had because I was thinking, why didn't he say anything to Buggy? Right? Because Buggy was there too. And now we're seeing why Shanks seems to have had this favoritism. It wasn't really favoritism. It's because apparently the Roger Pirates knew something about Shanks, right? And now I'm thinking, and I said this ages ago, that what was happening with Shanks there was a lot more emotional and a lot more personal to Shanks's heart. So now I'm honestly on the train of what Roger is saying to Shanks is basically, I'm sorry, kid. You can't have the life that you want because we've discovered something and there's something you have to do. And now we're being told that Shanks is like, my plan was to just live a carefree life with Buggy. And if that were your plan, and then your Ultra Chad Mega Dad, who's the current Pirate King, said, I'm sorry, kid, there's a path that you need to be on. You can't live the life that you've chosen to want to live. Would that not make you cry? Right? Like, would that not make you cry? Like, you can't have this carefree life. You can't have this time with this person that you care about. You need to do something bigger than everyone. Like, it's like the reluctant hero trope, where the reluctant hero is genuinely like just broken apart because they don't want this. They really don't want this, right? And now I'm truly thinking that is something that Roger said. I think that is the reason, because I was always befuddled. Why the fuck didn't he say anything to Buggy? Buggy was there too, and I think it's because it personally connects to to Shanks, which is, you can't live with Buggy. You can't have this carefree life with Buggy that you wanted. You're gonna have to do something bigger. Like, now I'm really on the train that's something that he said to him. It was something incredibly personal that Shanks just never wanted.
Yeah.
Which is why the crying.
I don't know if I have ever like thought that myself, but when hearing you describe it that way, it just gives me like a sense of like, oh, of course, like almost even deja vu, because just the way he's crying in that panel, it really does look like that, like a very reluctant hero-esque kind of thing where he's like, I got to do something. And especially considering the dialogue that Roger has about Joy Boy, whenever they get to Laugh Tale and he's like, I wish I could have been born at the same time as you, whatever. Like, clearly the Roger Pirates found something out, and whatever Shanks has been doing this whole time, I don't think anybody will doubt that Roger pretty much gave him a blueprint. Like, the Roger Pirates pretty much was like, you have to do this, like, at this time, you have to wait for this person, you have to do that. Like, whether it was completely fleshed out, like, he gave him a vague enough outline to where Shanks knew, like, all right, well, I can't just be a goofball pirate like I want. Like, and that really could like recontextualizes everything we know about Shanks. Like, Luffy fell in love with Shanks because he was this fun pirate that taught him a bunch of stuff about the values that he holds dear now. But essentially, like, all of the flashbacks where Luffy's like, he's just goofing around with the pirates. Like, everything that Luffy has in his mind about what makes a good pirate comes from Shanks and his friends getting drunk at the bar and singing sea shanties with Luffy. Like, that's like, and that's the type of life Shanks wanted. That's what he never wanted to do anything else. And that's why every time when we see him, he's doing something so nonchalantly, like, hey guys, stop fighting at Marineford or you're gonna have to fight me. Like, he literally,
like, my 9 to 5.
yeah, literally. He clocks in and he's like, cut it out. All right, I gotta go. I just fought Kaido, by the way. You're welcome. He was gonna come here and air this entire bitch out, so you're welcome.
He's like, I've cleaned up this mess.
Yeah,
Can you keep it clean, please? Stop making me douche.
All right, yeah, for real. So I feel like that just makes him such a consistent character, because that's just what we've seen every time we see Shanks. He just seems like, at first I thought it was like, oh, Shanks is so cool. He's doing all this and it looks like he doesn't really want to be there. And now we realize, no, he just actually dead ass just did not want to be there.
Doesn't want to be there. Doesn't want to. Can you imagine Mihawk's like, I've found a worthy opponent, and Shanks is like, leave me alone. I don't want to fight.
I think Mihawk and Shanks fought a bunch of times, and then eventually Mihawk was like, you talk a lot about this clown. How strong is he? And then he eventually like probably understands, like, all right, I'll never compete with the clown. So just go ahead. We're not rivals anymore.
I want to believe he was fighting with Shanks, and then at some point Mihawk was like, why isn't your heart in it?
Yeah.
Why? You're not giving me much here, Shanks. Come on, I need that energy. And Shanks was like, I can't do it anymore.
I'm thinking about my clown. He just can't. They talk about it. Mihawk's like, all right, well, if your heart's not going to be in it, we might as well not even fight anymore.
He's like, and now you've lost your arm. Oh yeah. My god.
I think the arm is just an excuse. I think he's just like, no, we don't have to fight. You lost your arm. Really, it's just like he's so torn up about that clown. I don't think his heart's gonna be.
That makes it so, because I don't know anything about Mihawk. Mihawk is another character he's kind of not a character right now, but I like Mihawk more. Well, now I like Shanks more because we're getting more, but I'll probably end up liking Mihawk more in the future because we're getting tidbits and hints of like who Mihawk is and his past that he clearly has. Like, he doesn't trust anyone. He's very lonely. He's incredibly lonely. He constantly isolates himself, and he's similar to Shanks. He just does things because he has to, right? He doesn't want to be in this position now he is. And it's like, if Oda's going where I think he's going with Mihawk, and we see more of Shanks and Mihawk's story, I'm really hoping that what it's going to be is these are two guys that are kind of lost of passion, right? Like, Shanks is just going through the motions of having to do what he has to do, while Mihawk had a passion, he had a joy, and whatever happened to him, he lost it. Because you don't just become the master swordsman without having that as a goal, right? You don't just have that happen to you without it being a dream. So if he's going down the path I think he's going down, I'm really hoping that it's going to be Mihawk had some kind of passion, he had some kind of joy in pursuing his dream. Shanks was part of that as a rival for him, And then Shanks just kind of fizzled out, and that made Mihawk totally fizzle out too. Because now both of them just seem pretty depressed. Like, Mihawk does not seem happy. Shanks also does not seem happy. So I really hope that's the path that Oda's going down. Which is why Mihawk and Buggy joining up is like, that's fucking genius. Because those are two people directly connected to Shanks and directly connected to Shanks' past. And I'm really excited to see what Mihawk is going to add to this. Because if Buggy is one of Shanks' vulnerabilities, is Mihawk going to be part of this? Is Mihawk also going to show us more of Shanks' character? Mihawk clearly knew a different side of Shanks back in the day. He clearly knew a different type of Shanks back in the day. And whoever that Shanks was is gone now. That's not the Shanks that Mihawk remembers. Because Mihawk is even like, I'm not fighting some has-been anymore. Like, he doesn't see Shanks in that light anymore. Shanks is just kind of fizzled out to him now, right? So it's like, he's put these two characters together that have this connection to Shanks, which is why it's like with Crocodile, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah.
I mean, I know why Crocodile is there with what the Cross Guild is, but I'm not exactly sure what exactly Crocodile's whole like connection will be with these other two. But I know the themes of the Cross Guild. I just can't quite understand Crocodile Edition.
That's
you know my theory. Have I told you my theory?
What's that?
My theory is that Crocodile is the missing Amazon Lily Empress. The gap between Shaggy and Boa. That's my theory.
Oh my. Have we ever seen her? Anywhere at all?
No.
Oh my.
All we've seen is a silhouette outline from an SBS and a name. And a lot of people going, but we got the silhouette and the name, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, if Crocodile transed his gender, he's going to look different. He's going to have a different name. That's literally what being transgender is. Right? You transition. Yeah. That's the point. And Crocodile has this affiliation with animals that is so interesting to me because Amazon Lily has an affiliation with animals. They literally have like animals working beside them within the society. We've seen it multiple times. They have animal keepers on their ships. That's part of the pirate crew, being an animal keeper. That's why Boa kicked a kitten. That's why a kitten was on the crew, because they have animal keepers. And of course, there's the reptile connection as well. Amazon Lily have a bunch of snakes, and Crocodile has big fat crocodiles, right? Or gators, I guess, banana gators. And Crocodile as well calls himself Sir Crocodile, and I always thought that was a bit of a compensation for something. You know what I mean? Like, that's an incredibly transgender thing to do.
I really think it's at least heavily hinted that Crocodile like asked Eva to make him a man. I really think that's what
that's it.
That's in it. What's like? I don't think there's anything else we could really like, especially like it's in Impel Down where we see what Eva can do with the powers that they have, right? So that's what we see that in Impel Down. So I just feel like there's not really anything else Oda could be setting up other than like, yeah, this happened with Crocodile and Eva's the only person who knows about it, and they might tell someone, and for some reason Crocodile really does not want that to happen. I feel like that's the only thing that I can see. People get creative with like Crocomom and stuff like that. For me, even if Crocomom isn't a thing, which it would be so cool. It would be so funny if it was. It would be so incredibly funny if it was.
I just think like that the biggest secret of him being the missing empress, because Amazon Lily is important to the story. It's always like around. Would make the most sense to me because he's also like in the correct generation for it. Yeah. Boa is, I think, 10 years younger than him, or over 10 years younger than him. He's quite literally in the age of the middle ground between Shaggy and Boa. We've never met this empress before. We have no idea what happened to them.
That's what I was about to say. Did they say anything about like her disappearance or anything?
They say the last empress got like lovesick and died or something. And what I want to think is, it's not Crocodile getting lovesick over a man. It's Crocodile getting lovesick over wanting to be a man. Crocodile felt that he was a man. He felt a freedom with being a man. Amazon Lily didn't allow that. So he got kicked out, right? He got kicked out, transitioned, and wanted to create his own utopia through Baroque works on Alabaster.
Oh my!
It just makes the most sense to me.
That's great. It does make so much sense. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that does.
We have
make more
never
sense.
seen The only time we've seen Crocodile when he's young is his Seraphim. And he looks incredibly like gender ambiguous.
Yeah, I was about to
Incredibly
say.
gender ambiguous.
I was about to
We
say.
saw him, I think, at Roger's execution, but we only saw the back of his head. So it's like we've never actually seen him young properly. Like we've only seen him as a child Seraphim and in no other way at all.
There's also that flashback panel of Roger's execution, and even that, it's just the back of Crocodile's head. It looks still, I feel like, I don't know, even the shape of Crocodile's head makes me think could be a woman.
Pre-transition?
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
It's such a crackpot theory, but it's not as stupid as Croco Mum, so
Yeah, it's not.
it's not out there, I think, honestly. I think it's pretty reasonable. Everything lines up for it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the missing Amazon Lily Empress could like pop in somewhere else for some other arc, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm not like banking everything on it, but I still think it could be slightly possible with this being Crocodile's past. At least I hope so, because it'd just be a bit funny. But we lost sight. We were talking about Buggy and Shanks.
Oh, right.
Because there was something else. There was something else I wanted to talk about that I find. Sorry, I'm fiddling. That I found incredibly funny. And to this day, the more Oda adds with Shanks and Buggy's story, the funnier Buggy's introduction gets. It just gets like ridiculous because can you imagine being Buggy and you're fucking chilling, minding your own business, blowing up some buildings in an East Blue town? He wasn't killing anyone. I want to make that very clear. He was blowing up abandoned buildings. And then suddenly, some kid rocks up wearing Shanks's hat, sounding exactly like Shanks at that same age. And he says to you, "Don't talk about Shanks." Can you imagine the audacity of that fucking kid when you are Buggy and you've known this fucking guy all your life, and now some fucking snot-nosed brat is saying, "Don't ever talk about Shanks"? That shit is getting progressively more insane because now we know Buggy and Shanks were like this. And why Buggy was like, "What are you talking about? I will say whatever I want about Shanks." Like, Luffy had no idea the relationship that he was barreling in on. And now I can only imagine that if Shanks is like, "Yeah, Buggy means so much to me," Luffy would be like, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah.
I said some crazy shit to him.
You think Luffy would feel bad if Buggy, like, if he finds out like how much like Buggy and Shanks like mean to each other? Do you think he would like come to like actually like Buggy?
This is why I think it would be a you know that pouty face that Luffy makes where he goes,
Yeah.
like, I think he'd be like that. He'd like accept, because he doesn't hate Buggy. He does chill with Buggy, and Impel Down he did, but he's got a complicated relationship with Buggy because he still thinks Buggy's an idiot, and he still thinks Buggy is stupid.
Yeah.
So if Shanks was like, "No, I like him, I fuck with him," I think Luffy would be like, "Oh,
Yeah. Okay. I guess then I do too.
fine, you're fine. I'll get along with him, I guess."
Because now it's pretty much fated that we have to. What do you think is more likely to happen? Do you think it's going to be Cross Guild running into the Straw Hats or Cross Guild running into Shanks and the red-haired pirates? What do you think is more likely to happen in the story?
I think they'll all meet up on Laugh Tale. I don't think it's going to be a one at a time thing.
Oh yeah.
I think it's going to be a Laugh Tale explosion altogether.
Where they only have
Personally,
like a couple minutes to like say their piece. I think that probably is exactly what's going to happen, because I'm seeing in my head right now the emotional scene with Shanks and Buggy's reunion. So much unsaid, so much that they don't say, but it's all they both get it, and it'll be tragic. I'm gearing up. This feels like it's going to hurt so bad. I'm not even like.
all I know is if they do meet up one by one, it's much more likely that Shanks and Buggy will meet first, because the story still is that Luffy meeting Shanks, this is like an end goal thing. Right? So it's like, even if it does happen one by one, I can't see Shanks meeting Luffy first.
Right.
Because that's something that has been built up for a very long time, and it feels like that's going to be a finale kind of thing.
But do you think it would be like the Straw Hats had run into Cross Guild before? Like, do you think that's possible at all? Like him running into Buggy again now that they're both emperors?
Yeah, I don't know because Zoro still has to be a master
Oh, that's
swordsman.
true. That's true. I forgot Mihawk's right there. That's true.
But Buggy, Mihawk, and Crocodile are all three of them a very good setup for Monster Trio. Because Luffy and Buggy can definitely have a fight for the ages. Because I do believe Buggy is containing more than we know with whatever fruit he has. Mihawk and Zoro obviously are a pair. And then Crocodile and Sanji would be hilarious because Sanji is the fucker that ruined Crocodile's Baroque work plans single-handedly. If Crocodile hears that this is Mr. Prince, it's on.
Yeah.
He's
I've thought about that.
Guy.
I've always thought about that. And I wonder, and then also his connection to Eva, whatever his connection to Eva is, like that's Sanji's mom. Okay, so like
Yeah. That's Sanji's drag mom.
yeah, like that's like there's got to be some crazy dialogue that could happen if Crocodile would ever let it happen. I just, man, I really do. I need that to happen. And then obviously, do you like the idea of like a Davy back fight for that matchup for I do too. I really do.
I'm pro Davy back fight anytime. I think
Yeah.
Davy back fights are so fun.
Yeah.
I just think they're so fun. And I'd love to see it with Luffy's crew now as well. With everyone there.
Dude, Jinbei in a Davy back fight. Oh my god. Would be so funny. So fucking funny.
Now, Jinbei, you have to balance an egg on a spoon. What?
Jinbei, there's so many things happen and Jinbei is like, but why? Like so many things like that happen now. If they tell him, Jinbei, we need you to get in this raft, we're gonna race the buggy pirates. Are you ready? Jinbei is like, why? He's like, why are we doing this? We're emperors now, guys.
I know this is about Buggy and Shanks, by the way, but I feel silly and I feel stupid, and I was telling you this because of the Sanji situation, right? The Sanji Conqueror situation, and I cannot believe this has happened to me. The Sanji girl, and this has happened to me. And I overlook Sanji. I can't get over that this has happened.
You were upset about that. Yeah.
I'm so upset about this because I let Agenda Piece rot my brain. Because Agenda Piece has this whole thing where it's like, if a character doesn't have Conqueror's Haki, or if they're not getting Conqueror's Haki, then they're useless. Right? Then they're nothing. And I cannot stand that shit because obviously Oda writes beyond that. He doesn't just write characters for their power. And that really pissed me off, which is why I was always like, no, Sanji does not need Conqueror's Haki. Not because I think he's better than anyone, not because I think he's better than Luffy or Zoro, but because I do not believe Oda writes characters like Sanji with a usefulness around conquerors, with needing this shit. Like, the Straw Hats as a whole do not need conquerors. They don't even need Haki. This isn't something that they need. It's just something that people want because they believe that makes them more valuable to the story. And I'm totally against that idea.
I was about to careful,
being more
Mel,
valuable through power.
You about to get Agenda Piece. Careful. Everything you just said was blasphemous, okay? All the Straw Hats don't need Haki. Are you crazy, Mel?
Shanks likes
Are you
Buggy,
crazy?
and Buggy doesn't even have Haki. I'm allowed to say this. Anyway, so they say all this shit, and it really pisses me off, right? Because of that, every time people go, Sanji Conquerors, I would be like, he doesn't need it. And not because he's better than anyone, but because that's not how Oda writes. But at the same time, Oda wasn't giving me a reason for Sanji to have Conquerors. He just wasn't. And I didn't see it. At least at the time, I didn't see it. Zoro had it. I was more than happy about him having it because it made sense. Because Zoro's goals made sense for him to have conquerors. Master Swordsman, that is a goal that desires conquerors. That really does, because he's conquering something, right?
Yeah.
Luffy as well. Conquerors, of course he has it. I looked at Sanji and I thought, I don't really see where here in Sanji's character that he would desire this, or he'd really need this, or where it even fits in with him. Because Sanji's whole character kind of, in my opinion, goes against it because of Germa and the Vinsmokes. Conquering seems like something Germa would do, the Vinsmokes would do. It doesn't seem like something that fits Sanji's narrative personally. But I feel like that's the point, because now that we've gotten the new chapter, and now that Sanji has jumped over to Gaban and saying, me, do I have it? And he's talked about, yeah, I keep getting overlooked by Jinbei and Zoro. I was like, fuck, I missed this, because every time he'd get joked about with Jinbei and with Zoro, specifically with Zoro calling him number 4, right? I was like, haha, jokes, haha, funny. That shit actually hurt his feelings. He actually was feeling a little bit anxious about that, and I didn't pick up on that, and I feel stupid, because I'm usually the first person to overanalyze and go, oh, maybe this is hurting his feelings. Of course he's going to feel a bit anxious and nervous about that, because it's not about Sanji having conquerors just to be the bigger man. It's about him having conquerors because he wants to be useful. That's Sanji's whole deal, that he wants to be useful to his crew. He wants to be useful to Luffy. He wants his life to actually have some kind of meaning to someone else, right? This is his whole deal. This is why he throws himself in front of the bullet all the time. So when that happened, and he was like anxious about not having conquerors, I was like, oh, of course he'd want it, not because he thinks he demands it or deserves it or desires it, but because he thinks he needs it to be useful, right? And then I realized that's probably why Sanji doesn't have this character that demands conquerors, because that's probably the problem. That he doesn't exactly have a demand for conquerors. That he definitely has the talent. He definitely has the skill. He definitely has the power. It's undeniable that he does, right? He absolutely has the ability, but he doesn't have the person, because he's not like wanting conquerors for himself. He's wanting it to be used, essentially. Now, how can you get conquerors if you have this idea of yourself, right? How can you get conquerors if you're like, I just want it for Luffy, or I just want it for Zoro? Zoro doesn't want conquerors for Luffy. Luffy doesn't want conquerors for someone else. They want it because they have a dream that they're trying to achieve. And we've seen time and time again that Sanji puts others above himself. He literally said that Zoro's dream was more important than his own when he saved him or tried to help him in Thriller Bark. That a person like that kind of conquers, because they're already undermining themselves, right?
Yeah.
Goofy, I felt silly. And I was like, of course he'd want this, but not because he demands it. Because he wants it to be useful. I just had to get that off my chest, because I was like, I can't believe I overlooked this.
Yeah.
I can't believe I overlooked the Sanji character moment, right? And I feel ridiculous.
To be fair, you were pretty locked in on the insecurities that Zoro was having, so it probably was easy to,
I was tunnel visioned by Zoro.
Yeah, because it was just so obvious,
Yeah. Zoro's incredibly obvious. He's incredibly obvious with his insecurities. So it's like, I'm waiting for the ball to drop. It's starting to, with Gaban saying, "What is your problem? How did you not know?" The fact that Zoro apologized.
That shit hurt him. Like, I could tell he didn't have a quick response. He wasn't angry at anything. He was just like, "My bad." Like that. I've never seen him that like tail between his legs before.
He wasn't even picking on Sanji as well. When Gaban said, you have confidence and you don't. Any other day. Ha, 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 ha.
He would be gloating like, obviously it's me, not you. But he didn't, none of that. He was literally like, oh, my bad, I'm sorry. Like, literally, like, because Gaban was serious, like, yo, you got to pull it together. You can't just be leaking Conqueror's hockey like that. That is so stupid.
It's like he was being scolded. Yeah. Right? Like a kid. And my friend pointed this out to me, and I was like, oh, God, that is such a point. After Egghead, Zoro was like, why is Luffy crying? He shouldn't be crying. He's an emperor, right? Like, he's being tough. Yeah. He's being a bit harsh. Yeah. And then suddenly Gaban says to him, you need to pull it together. Can you imagine? And you're like, no, like, our captain needs to be an emperor. And then you get told, actually, you need to shape up. Like, oh, damn, I'm sorry.
I didn't think about that. I think that's so, I love when Oda does stuff like that, because it just shows like how often his characters can like project when something's like actually going on with him. Like Zoro said that on the ship.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Zoro said that on the ship because even if he didn't like internalize that himself, like consciously be like, I need to do better, he took too long with Lucci and he felt bad about it. So he was like, yeah, Luffy needs to stop crying like a little baby. And the best part about this, obviously Luffy and the others, is they're not gonna like I think I can't remember who said something. I think it was Jinbei. I can't remember who said something. They were like, "That's a little harsh. Like, why did you say that?" But like, nobody got on his ass. Like,
Jinbei said, yeah.
You should have done what you were supposed to. Like, we wouldn't have been in on this if you would have just finished Rob Lucci. And now Zoro has to be thinking, "Fuck, is that why I took so long to beat Lucci?"
That's it.
Because I didn't
That's exactly what I was gonna say. If Zoro knew he had conquerors in that moment, he would have used it on Lucci immediately. Because so many people go, "Oh, Zoro fucked around, blah, 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 blah," like, oh, because he wanted to. No one in Zoro's situation would play with their fucking enemy in that moment. The island was exploding. Powerful Haki was everywhere because of the elders, right? Vegapunk was in danger. The crew was in danger. They had to go. They really had to go. They had to go so bad that Jinbei had to pick him up. That's how much of a rush they were in. No one in Zoro's situation would actively want to play with their crewmate. Zoro, more than anyone, knows this is serious, right? And Zoro, that's why I was like, I don't think he knows he's got conquerors. Because when he was fighting Lucci, it never came out until that very last moment where Sanji said, "What the fuck is he doing? He's a liability." That's another moment of someone saying to Zoro, "Shape up! What are you doing?" And when he shaped up, his conquerors came out, right? It burst out of him and he managed to get Lucci to his knees, although Jinbei still had to deal with it. But it popped out in that moment. If Zoro knew he had conquerors there, he probably would have been able to wrap that up a bit faster. And now he's being told by Gabon, how can you not know? And that's probably why he's saying, "Oh, I'm sorry." Because he knows that his performance can be better. He knows that he could have been better. And that's where his projection has come from. I've always said when Zoro is upset, when he feels like he hasn't done enough, he projects. He acts like an asshole because he's mad at himself. So he gets mad at others. This is like a typical man thing. Men do this.
I was about to say, even what you said, you said those two words that every man has ever heard in their life. Shape up is like such a toxic thing to just have in the back of your head constantly. And Zoro is telling that to himself. He's telling it to Luffy. It's like an echo 24/7. Shape up, shape up, shape up. That never means process what you're going through. It never means really examine what's happening right now. Shape up just means pull it together. You know what you need to do. Stop feeling things. You're not a person, you're a man. Pull it together, shape up.
Yeah.
And that's what he's doing. So he projected in in hindsight, it's obvious that he didn't know what he was doing, or he didn't know that he had conqueror's Haki, and that's 100% what he's thinking right now. Like, oh man, I fucked up.
Yeah, I fucked up. If I knew, I could actually, deal more damage, get the crew in safer places faster, right? The crew could be safer with me knowing this. And it's like, you can't help, because I've always thought Zoro's a bit of a perfectionist in terms of fighting and in terms of being a swordsman. It seems pretty clear to me that he wants to wrap things up quite quickly, because a lot of people who are perfectionists, they are anxious. They tend to have anxiety that they can be better. They can do better. I would know this happens to me all the time. So he's like got this idea of perfectionism of I can be better. I can do better all the time, all the time, all the time. And that makes you oversee things.
Yeah.
And what Zoro oversaw was he has this power, but he just couldn't realize it because he's got too many problems running through his mind in the moment of, oh God, I don't know how to do with this. I don't know what to do with this. And now he's being told, you literally have the ability and you didn't see it. And there's nothing, I think, more harsh than that, because it's like being told you could have always been better.
You were just too
weren't.
stupid. Yeah. You were just too dumb.
Right, like being told you have to be better.
Yeah.
That's rough to hear.
Yeah, that's actually crazy. I love that Oda immediately separated him from Luffy too. Like he was like, "All right, I'll catch it." Like I love that we're about to watch. Like I don't think Zoro's gonna say anything for the next 3 chapters. I really think that he's for real gonna be like, "All right, I'm gonna beat every Holy Knight up there." I think he's gonna push himself way too hard, do something just stupid, make an unnecessary risk. And I think Sanji's might be in the same like thought process. Normally Sanji would check him, but I think Sanji's gonna be heading up there just as like, "All right, I'm gonna get Conqueror's Haki right now."
I agree.
Like,
I think it's going to be rough for both of them, because I originally thought that Sanji was the one that was keeping it together in this moment. Now I don't think that's the case. Now I'm seeing, because he was so cocky and egghead, right? Well, not cocky, but he was so put together in egghead.
He was confident. He was so confident on egghead.
Exactly. He was confident. That I was like, okay. But it's because someone had to be.
Yeah.
Someone needed to keep things together, right?
Yeah.
And now things seem to be slipping between the cracks. And now it seems to be both of the wings are on unstable ground. The fact that Luffy's staying downstairs while Zoro and Sanji by themselves are going up,
That's on purpose.
I think something rough is about to happen.
I think
they're
both about to get their ass beat in front of Nami and the others, and then Nami's gonna make it worse. Nami's gonna be like, for real? Because she's already got on to Jinbei. She's already called Jinbei useless. When she sees Zoro and Sanji get their ass beat, oh, she is gonna be relentless. She is gonna be like, oh, you too? You're both useless too? Great. So I guess we'll just wait for Luffy like he's Goku, huh? I guess that's what the plan is.
Nami's gonna yell, girls, get up!
Yeah.
Get up! I honestly, genuinely, I kind of want it to be Usopp that does that. Because I think Usopp more than anyone can help them. Because Usopp's had this moment of, God, do I have to do this to be useful? That's what Water 7 was about.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And if Zoro and Sanji are going through a mental, problem, I feel like Usopp more than anyone is someone who can stand up and go, guys!
Get
it together. What is happening? Come on.
That's true. I think Usopp can pull them out of it. I truly believe Nami would just make it worse. I truly think Nami is just going to bully them like, so you're both useless. Ridiculous. Like, I think she's ready to do that. And
she's done that before.
She does that to everybody.
Did that before. Yeah. She did that in Skypiea. Mm-hmm. It was so funny when Viper jumped on the ship and beat the shit out of Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji. And she went, what was that?
Yeah, what was that? You're supposed to be so strong. You just let him whoop your ass. I'm telling you, she literally just did it to Jinbei was tied up with him, and she looked over her shoulder like, so what do we have you for? You big fucking fish? You didn't do anything. You're tied up with us, asshole.
Not the microaggression.
You're right. She didn't say that, but Jinbei literally was like, will you shut up? I'm trying to think.
To be fair, Nami, because I have to defend my girl here. Children were in danger, and Nami was stressed because, Nami, she can't. Children in danger, that's like her Achilles heel. She can't stand that. So she's freaking the fuck out. So she's like, someone do something. Please, someone do something.
I don't even think you need to defend because dead ass Luffy might even do something. Luffy loves bullying his crew. When they do something stupid, that's what the plot of one of the filler arcs, the Ice Hunters arc is. Literally, it's so unserious. They literally just need to get their flag back before Luffy realizes that they let it get stolen, because they know that if he realizes that they let their flag get stolen, he's just going to give them shit nonstop.
When Gabon said, you have conquerors, and Zoro said, me, and Luffy said, you didn't know
this whole time? Oh my god.
You didn't know.
Yeah, it's stuff like that. He does stuff like that. He's just like, damn. And then also he'll even throw in this line. He'll be like, you didn't know? Damn, you really are stupid, Zoro. He's called Zoro stupid so many times. That's how he'll talk shit to his crew. Yeah, I think they're about to get their ass beat when they go up there, and then Loki and Luffy are gonna have to come up there and air some shit out. I think that's gonna happen.
Here's what's going to happen. Buggy will appear and unleash Conqueror's Haki.
Hey, yeah, the power of love. The hockey of love.
Oh, no, the power of hating my stupid ex.
Yeah. But while we were talking about that, I want to also, because, every video has to turn into a Sanji video eventually. So
Sanji tax.
It's the Sanji tax. You're right. Yeah. So in regards to Sanji, because we've talked about I think in both the videos that we did already, but the mutation thing with Sanji. Okay, thinking about what's happening with Conqueror's Haki with Zoro and Sanji right now, they're both going to go up there and push themselves too hard. Right, so there's bad things could happen to both of them. For Sanji, the bad thing that could happen could be the mutation factor. What do you think? How do you see that going? What do you think? How do you think that's going to develop if it does go that way?
Well, Sanji's mutation was one of the reasons why I thought Conqueror is needed here, because this feels like it could be a problem with his mutation. Right? There's a panel when Sanji's talking to Gabon, and Sanji's like, "What about me?" There's a panel of a white background.
We don't see what there's, what he's saying, yeah.
Yep, and that's pretty obvious to me that Gabon is saying something to him. Some people thought it was comedic, or some people thought it was, right, some people thought it was Sanji getting interrupted. It's not.
No.
That's indication that someone is listening, usually. That white background, it's quite dramatic. And so it seems quite clear to me that Gaban said something to him. And I think it's very possible that whatever Gaban said to him could relate to, you know, you have the ability, but there's something else going on with you. Like, there's something in you that's a problem. And that is making me think that Sanji's going to try and push to try and get this power, right? But then therein lies the issue of, but what will that push out? Will that push out conquerors? Or will that push out his mutation? Because I do not believe that this mutation is done. I really don't. And it's interesting to hear when Onigashima, Sanji was thinking, Luffy, what would you prefer? Would you prefer me as I am, or would you prefer, like, what's more useful to you, he said, or would you rather that I be a killing machine with no emotion that will just do whatever you say? As in, Sanji is believing what's more useful to Luffy is that second option, just being a killing machine. That's truly what he seems to think. In that moment, he gave up the German raid suit, thinking, well, I'll be me. I need to be me. And if I stop being me, Zoro has to kill me, right? But now, it feels like we're hitting an impasse of Sanji thinking it's not good enough anymore. Because I was thinking, oh, Sanji's finally healing. He's finally realizing he can just be himself, that Luffy just wants him to be him.
Right.
Doesn't seem to be the case now, because now he's gotten hit by this bombshell.
Yeah.
Which is, you don't have conquerors. And you might need conquerors if you want to keep up with Luffy.
Or just
right?
if he even wants to save people from the Holy Knights, he literally needs to be able to hurt them. So he does need Conqueror's Hawk. I think at least that's what he thinks. Like every Sanji would always think that, yeah.
Exactly. So it's a combination of not keeping up with Zoro, not keeping up with Luffy. Jinbei as well is in his sights as well. He's dwindling. And now he's probably thinking, God, I need this. Like, I'm going to have to push myself for this. And again, it makes me worry. Is this going to push out conquerors, or is this going to push out a mutation? Because I think it could be a ways to go where, like, I don't know if Oda's going to do this. This is all a theory, of course, where it's like, perhaps Sanji mutation comes out first, and overruling the mutation
is conquerors
is what gives them conquerors.
Yeah.
Because I think, again, it's the will to conquer something. So many people talk about conquerors being this, conquerors being that. I'm forever of the belief that conquerors is you need the will to conquer. If you don't have that will, I don't understand why it's conqueror. I just don't understand what it's there for, right? Like, you need a bit of selfishness. You need something to chase that's your own. If you want it to be, if you want this Haki, if you want Conqueror's Haki, just the will to conquer. I don't think Sanji has that, so I think the more he pushes himself, the more he's going to push out his mutation. Not Conqueror's Haki. So I think that's possibly where it could go. I just don't think the mutation is up. I think it would be odd if Oda just went, okay, dropped it now. Because this is a big fact of him, his Vinsmoke genes. It's such a big deal that his fight in Onigashima was all about that. Literally all about, I don't want to be my brothers. I don't want to be a Vinsmoke. I'm literally versing a huge, unforgiving dino robot that has all the powers of my brothers. And I don't want to be this, right? Why would that be Sanji's fight in Onigashima if that wouldn't continue on? If that wouldn't be a constant lingering thought in the back of Sanji's mind, you know? So I think that's might be what happens. Or at least, maybe.
I'm all bought in on it now just because I don't believe that it's over yet. When you broke it down like that, when you first told me that, and I haven't heard anybody else talk about this, like you are actually the only person. Maybe there's other people talking about it. I haven't heard anybody else talk about this. So when you broke it down first, I felt like, oh my God, of course. Like, it's a red herring. Obviously, destroying the suit would not stop a mutation inside of his body. I don't even know if Sanji thought that that's what would happen. I felt, now it seems like maybe that was more of a symbolic thing of him turning his back. But what's interesting is, we were talking about this, all of that is him expressing, like, him making that decision was still rooted in the desire of being something for Luffy. So everything that he does, it's all codependent. Like, he does not have anything that is just his, like, nothing at all. And I want that to be what Gabon told him. Like, yeah, for not even the mutation shit that you're going through. What's really getting at you is you have no self-worth. Like, you literally cannot exist if it is not for someone else. And literally, like, that you can't have conqueror's hockey if that's how you, if everything you do is in service to someone else. Like, you know, I guess, you know, you'll be a knight in shining armor, sure, but like you can't have conqueror's hockey. Like, that's not how it works. So I think it'd be cool if he has to, like, try to figure out how to be, like, selfish in a positive way. You know, I think that'd be a really cool thing for him to try to do.
One Piece has always had this theme of you got to be a little bit selfish to be happy. You got to be a little bit selfish to have a dream. A dream is inherently selfish because it's yours. It's what you want. That's selfish. Oda has always pushed this idea that it's okay to have this selfishness. That's why Luffy, I've always said, he's selflessly selfish or selfishly selfless. He always has been. Luffy is a very selfish person.
Oh, he's super
but he
selfish.
cares about people. That's the difference. You can be selfish and care about someone.
And you know who has gotten away from that so often? Sanji. Sanji has fought in that core, that theme in One Piece where you have to be a little bit selfish. Sanji has fought that every step of the way. He didn't want to leave Baratier because he just wanted to live Zeph's dream. Okay, he didn't want to. He left the crew to go to Whole Cake Island because he just wanted to, like, make sure everybody was good, and he gave up on his dream, and he was going to give up on his dream in Thriller Bark for Zoro's dream. Like, he literally like, he'll do it every chance he gets. He's like, whatever I was doing, fuck that. Whatever you're doing, that's what I want to do. Like, he's like, that's who he's been his entire, like, he tries to fight that theme throughout the story. And I would love if Gabon is like, all right, you gotta, like, for real, strip everything away. Who are you? What do you want? Like, you have to know that and actually fight for that if you want Conqueror.
Right? Like, that's why the All Blue can come back in such a big way for him. Because he's obviously following it, right? He wants to find the All Blue. But, his dream feels overshadowed due to the other crewmates because they're purposefully overshadowed, because Sanji does that to himself. He overshadows himself with the crewmates' dreams. He's clearly thinking that they're more important than him. His dreams are more important than his own. And that's why Luffy was yelling at Sanji in Whole Cake Island, what about our journey? It's not over yet. Like, your dream isn't over yet. Luffy was very, very vigilant about that. Like, this is what you want too. This isn't just me wanting you back. You also want this. Like, Sanji he just can't put his own wants over anyone else's wants because he's just built like that. He was born like that because he was born thinking he's lesser. He's useless. He's nothing. He has to be useful to be something, right? Because when we look at Onigashima and we look at how Zoro unlocked Conqueror's Haki, when he was fighting Kaido, he had a desire to defeat Kaido because he wanted to fucking conquer Enma. Because Enma was a very powerful blade. He wants to be as good as Odin. He wants to be this strong of a swordsman. When he was fighting King and Conquerors came out, he was thinking about where Kuina came from. He was thinking about these swords. And his dream is that. His dream is tied with Kuina's. That is Zoro's dream. That's why it's so important that him being a master swordsman wasn't just a promise to Kuina. It was a dream that he also had for himself. So he's got a promise to keep to Kuina, and he's got a promise to keep to Luffy. But the master swordsman is his dream. With Wano in hand, with Enma in the other, and with, help me. Kit starts with a K. Kitetsu, the third in the other. Yeah. With these three swords, he's going to become a master swordsman because that's his dream. This is his want. His power is his promise and his dream of being a master swordsman. He's clearly got that down. And again, when we look at Sanji's fight, it's totally dependent on Luffy. It's totally dependent on what Luffy wants him to be. Zoro isn't thinking, what does Luffy want me to be? How does Luffy want me to fight here? It's, I've got a promise to keep. I've got a dream to chase. I have to beat your ass. For Sanji, it's, it's everyone else. It's everyone but him.
I'll find the all blue eventually. Actually, what I really want is we can go back to the mermaids. That's actually my dream. Actually,
The one moment that he's allowed to have some selfish fun. That's why I really like the moment with him and the mermaids.
yeah,
Because this is a bit of a selfish moment for Sanji, and they liked him. He was allowed to have a bit of fun there.
yeah. Even it almost killed him, but yeah, he was having a great time. Oh my gosh, I wonder what that resolve would be like. Whenever, in order to conquer that, I'm trying to figure out what he would end up deciding that would allow him to have Conqueror's Haki. Or maybe it's just the discovery that he deserves to be a person. Like, he can just...
That's what I think.
Yeah. Like,
he can just exist.
Yeah, and that's all that he needs to be. Maybe that'll free him from everything that he's going through.
But I also do think it's the All Blue is my dream. This is something I want. Like,
Yeah.
I want this. I want to find it. I think that can come back in just such a huge way for him to help him.
Yeah.
Realize that this is a dream that you have. It's not below anyone. It's not below anyone else's dream. It's not lesser than anyone else's dream.
That could be so cool because a lot of times, even as an adult, like because I've had this feeling a couple times, like I've forgotten about something I really wanted to do, even if I was actively like chasing it. Sometimes you can forget like that desire you had as a kid. And with Sanji, like the all blue, if just at a cursory, just like at a glance, you could see that as like that's Zeph's dream, and maybe he's not really that passionate about it. But when Zeph saw Sanji talking about the all blue, that was Zeph noticing like he is actually happy about that. Like he really wants to find the all blue. Whether he will admit it or not, he has to go. Like, so I think it would be so sweet for Sanji to remember why he wants to find the all blue. Have like a second like realization about that dream and then become even more fired up about finding it.
Well, that's why when so many people go, why doesn't Sanji mention the all blue? Why doesn't he talk about the all blue? Because that's a whole point. It's really hard to get that out of him. It's incredibly hard. Luffy had to fight off a whole fucking pirate fleet for Sanji to finally admit, oh, I want to find the all blue.
Yeah.
Right? It took him ages. And even Zeph was watching that and going, so he does still talk about it, right? He does still want to see it. The whole point of Sanji is he was keeping that down. He wasn't telling anyone about it. Because not only was he made fun of for it, he thought other people's dreams had to be
way more
prioritized, right?
Yeah.
So when people go, why doesn't he talk about it? Why doesn't he really bring it up? Because it's like pulling teeth. To get that out of Sanji is like pulling teeth. It's hard for him to get to talk about the all
That's
blue.
what makes Baratie so good, because it's literally Sanji interacting with Luffy and Zoro, these people that have like these dreams. And it's all, I like to think that, especially with this context, I like to think that he joined them partly to be like, okay, so you guys are going after your dreams. You know, I want to do that too. But like, it's still so meek, you know?
You're not just thinking that that's in the text. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Because one of the reasons he even joined the crew was because he saw Zoro. It's a huge point. This is not a filthy shipper brain. This is like a fact in the text. Zoro was inspiring to him. That's why he's like in a cold sweat watching Zoro literally lay down his life to become a master swordsman. That's why he yells, "Give up on your ambitions." Like, what are you doing? Because that's what Sanji has done. He's given up on his own ambitions because he's thought, I can't chase them. I can't do this. And he's watching a guy kill himself to chase his ambitions. And then you get to Sanji watching Luffy, and Zeph has so many good moments with Sanji in that moment. He's telling Sanji, like, this is what, like, chasing your dreams is. This is what having will of your own is. This is what having this power means. And he says to Sanji, I know someone who's holding himself back. I know someone who's not letting himself go the full mile. And of course, he's talking about Sanji. That's why it hurt Zeph so much when Sanji was stuck in the barretier, because Zeph saw a boy with a dream that he just thought he couldn't chase. And that tore Zeph up inside, because he wanted to see this kid that he loved actually go out and chase that dream, right? So then Zeph saw Zoro, and Sanji saw Zoro, and he saw Luffy. And then he saved Luffy from the water. And in that moment, he thinks about Zoro and Luffy. And he thinks, all these idiots with their dreams, one and the next. Like, he just can't believe what he's seeing because he's never seen anything like that before. Zoro and Luffy are the two characters that made him join the Straw Hats because he realized, I can have a dream with these guys. I can chase my dream with these guys. But Zoro and Luffy's dreams are just so enormous to Sanji that he can't help but put them above his own. And that's the problem that he's having, right? The problem that he's prioritizing someone else's dreams over his own dreams, thinking that his dreams are just like smaller in comparison. And that's just a sad thing for him to think.
You know what's really sad too? He was undoubtedly inspired by both Luffy and Zoro, but he still said no after it took Zeph being like, all right, well, this soup sucks. Yeah. And for Sanji to be like, I know what you're doing. Don't make me leave. Like, he was still not gonna go. Like, he still, even though he was inspired, that actually is really sad to me now that I'm really thinking about it. Imagine being moved to the point to where you are inspired to chase your dreams, but still not having it in you to actually pull the trigger. And so Zeph was like, no, I just saw you talk about the All Blue. You got to get out of here. You have to leave. Like, if that is still alive in you, I'm not letting you kill it here. But that's a really sad fact about Sanji, is that he would have killed his dream. He would have done it if Zeph didn't kick him out of Baradier.
But Goofy, this is the saddest thing. Once again, it's hearing what it's feeling as if he's a burden to Zeph that is making him push to this point, because Zeph was like, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here. And Sanji was like, no, you can't make me leave. And then he runs out and then he sits at the door, right? And then he hears Zeph saying he's an incredible cook. He's an incredible fighter. And he hears Zeph saying, I just want him to chase what he wants. I just want him to find what he wants. And he believes Luffy is who can help him do that. That's what Sanji hears to finally be like, oh, okay, I guess I should leave. Like, it's still Zeph going, I need to push Sanji out the door because it hurts me to see Sanji stuck here. It's still someone else pushing Sanji, and it's like, he just hasn't had a selfish fucking thought in his life. The only selfish thought he really had was, I want to be a cook. I want to be a cook. And even then, it's because his mother loved his cooking.
Oh, that's true. Oh, no, that's true. Oh, my God, that's so sad. Literally, he saw how happy she was when he cooked for her and how much that she enjoyed it. And he thought, oh, I know what'll make people love me. I'll just cook. Oh, God.
Oh, cook.
Oh, God. Oh, God, it's so sad.
This is what I mean. Everything surrounding Sanji is just so selfless that I look at this guy and I say, where would the conquerors come from?
Holy shit.
Because I don't feel he has a single conquering bone in his body. And of course, that is not to say he's weak. It's just to say, I don't think someone who does nothing but see himself as a tool for others could have conquerors. Yeah. I just think this is something he needs to push through.
Fuck, that is so... and I don't know how he'd do it, to be honest. But I do think it's going to be so cool. All right, let's be real with this, Mel. What do you think the chances of Zoro and Sanji actually working together to go through what they're doing, or what they're going through right now?
High. Big and high. Huge. They're the wings.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Cool.
We watched them go through something in Onigashima. Like,
yeah, that's
the fact that Sanji trusted Zoro to be like, I need you to kill me. And Zoro's going, like we've seen, they trust each other. They're vulnerable with each other. This is them being vulnerable with each other. And now together, they're both thinking, I have to be better. I guess they are the wings. Anything they do will correlate with each other because that's what they're designed to be. So I think it's incredibly high chance of them having to help each other, because I have a belief that they will, maybe in Elbaf, get an actual combined attack, a proper one, where they both yell it out, where they both have an attack together. I always thought that could be the case. The reason I asked that is because I really think the thing that's going to help them, the only thing that'll help them through this, is just like talking and maybe a hug or something. Like, I mean, how much do you think that'll happen? Like, how much do you think, like,
them actually being honest about their insecurities to each other. Like on Onigashima, they had a moment, but no one else was around. That's why that moment happened. So it's like, how likely do you think that they'll just, all right, okay, for real, no bullshit. Are you okay? Like, it looks like you're going through something. Like, how often do you think that, or not how often, how likely do you think that'll happen?
It's tough because the talking moments tend to be reserved for Luffy. Because it's a big thing for Luffy to listen.
Yeah.
Right? Like on
Yeah.
Whole Cake Island, when Luffy said, you have to tell me how you really feel, it was a huge point that Luffy just sat and listened. As Sanji said, Luffy, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I want to run, but I'm too scared to run, blah, blah, blah. It was a whole thing that Luffy was just listening, right? So it's tough because I feel like listening moments are reserved for Luffy because of how much that means. But at the same time, I do think Zoro and Sanji are due for a heart-to-heart.
That's what I'm saying. I want that to happen.
I do think they're due for that, right? I do think they're due for... They've had this head-to-head, this kind of back and forth, I care, but I'm not going to say it kind of thing, right? And I can see them remaining that way, that they don't have to say they care about each other, but it's very obvious that they do. But it feels like it could be building up to, they just need to say it. They just need to say, man, I care about you.
That's what I'm saying. That could literally fix everything. And to be honest, after everything they've been through, like, all right, bro, you asked me to kill you if you lost control, and now we're both doing. Are we good? Like, I really I think they're past due for. I think that it would just fix so much, but also just because of the type of person they both are. Zoro just doesn't talk about his feelings like literally ever. So I want a Whole Cake Island moment for him. I really do, dude. Do you know how much Zoro could be healed as a human? Like, as a character, I mean. Like, do you know how much he could be healed if he just, like, had a Whole Cake Island moment where he was like, I want to go back to the sunny? Like, where he just cried and just for once just said, instead of projecting, instead of, like,
Yeah.
I want that.
Even if it's not too Sanji, he's still due for that.
Yeah, for real.
He needs a cry. He needs a cry. Everyone needs a good cry. I don't care how big you are. I don't care how manly you are. Everyone needs a big cry. Feels good. Feels good, makes you feel better. Have you ever had a big cry and then afterwards gone, wow,
Yeah.
I feel rejuvenated?
Yes. Honestly, sometimes, like, whenever you just find a reason to cry, sometimes that just feels good. Like, because a lot of times whenever you have to cry, you just don't even know why. So, like, if you're watching, like, a movie and it just hits and you just let it come out and you're just like, I needed that. I don't know why, but I needed that.
And you're
now,
like,
like, imagine Zoro going through life. He's probably needed to cry for such a long time. He's just burying it and, like, oh, my God.
well, this is like, because the whole thing with Sanji and Zoro is as well, I feel like it's being built up because it's not just Onigashima, because it's also Thriller Bark as well. When they had, like, I talk about how crazy this is. Zoro and Sanji have a secret from Luffy.
Yes.
From Luffy. That's insane. Brooke knows it and Robin knows it, but there's a reason Brooke and Robin haven't said anything, because that's not their secret to tell.
Mm-hmm.
It's not theirs. It's between Zoro and Sanji. It's a huge deal. It's such a big deal that when Sabaody came around and Zoro was, like, still injured, Luffy was going, what's going on? Why the hell are you, like, what's happening? Why are you so hurt? And Sanji was thinking, he's still injured from Thriller Bark. But I have to keep this under wraps. And he was yelling at Luffy, don't worry, forget about him. So he's trying his very best to keep this secret between them. Because he knows that Luffy can't know. And he knows that Zoro went out of his way to make sure no one could know. So Sanji's going out of his way to make sure this is kept a secret between them, right? And then from there, we have Onigashima, where you have Sanji saying, you gotta kill me. If I change, you got to kill me. This is yet another secret. No one knows. No one knows. No one knows that Sanji has asked this of Zoro. And that's a huge deal because killing a crewmate is the worst sin you could ever commit. It's such a big sin that there's a whole thing around Ace and Blackbeard and Whitebeard about it. That's why Ace even went after Blackbeard, because killing a crewmate is deplorable. You don't do it. That's the biggest sin you could ever commit, right? So between Sanji and Zoro, you've got Sanji asking Zoro this incredible, like, thing. Like, that's a horrible thing to ask of your crewmate. Sanji knows that. Zoro knows that. But what else choice? Like, what choice did he have, you know? He trusted him to take up this task. And then after that, we have Egghead, which is Zoro struggling and Sanji yelling. And he didn't say it straight to him, but he's still yelling, he's a liability. If he doesn't get his head in the game, he's a liability. It feels like there's just so much piling up between them of stress and secrets, and it's like eventually something has to happen, right? It feels like they're wound so tight, you know? Like, what if Zoro says, like, you told me to kill you. Do you know the like how crazy that is, the weight that has? And then Sanji's like, and you tried to get yourself killed on Thriller Bark, and I couldn't say anything. I had to see you standing there dead, nearly dead, and I had to keep that a secret from Luffy. Do you know what I have to deal with? Like, the two of them are literally holding these secrets, right? And it's like, they're both like, you told me to do this and I have to do this. We're both keeping a secret from our fucking captain. Like, that's so much stress for them to both keep.
People say Zosan doesn't have fuel. Listen to this. First of all, like, that is, come on, seriously? The secrets, you're right. I always thought that it's so crazy. That would be such great dialogue if that happened. And because, like, I want Zoro to say that when the Onigashima thing happened, I knew Zoro wouldn't say this, but I would, if the moment does happen. That's why I want the mutation thing that you're saying to come true, so that Zoro can actually be confronted with the possibility of having to kill Sanji, because they tried to play that off like, oh yeah, Zoro will do it, and like maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, but Zoro's locked in. I was like, okay, so what? So he's just gotta kill. Bullshit. First of all, for two reasons. One, first, Luffy would. Why he would never do that, and Luffy not know about it. That just would never happen. I think that would be enough of a. But I don't care what he promised Sanji, Luffy wouldn't be going. Zoro is not dumb. He knows that Luffy would not just accept. Oh, Sanji told me to do it. Like that. Just there's no reason that would be. But then the other thing is like Zoro doesn't have it in him. Like Zoro isn't. He's not as stoic as he wants to act. He can't kill Sanji. Like he literally can't do it. I don't know if there's a situation where he could, but literally just from a situation where he doesn't have any context for why he would have to. Bullshit. I don't think he was ready to do that. And I think if he's ever in that position, I want him to finally be like, all right, fine, I can't kill you. Is that what you wanted me to say? Please tell me this was a joke. All right, please tell me this was just a gag you're doing, but I can't kill you.
Well, like that's what I mean. Oh, you could kill him, and these are the people that. I don't know what they're reading.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we couldn't kill Sanji. He couldn't kill Sanji. Oh, no, sorry. He could kill Sanji. And then I have to remind people when it comes to Thriller Bark, and this is why it pisses me off when people remove Sanji from that moment. They do that. They just pretend he wasn't there. What Zoro said to Kuma is, take my life. This wasn't a fight. This was, take my life instead. And then Sanji walked in front of him and said, no. He can't take Luffy's life. He can't take your life. You're both too important. Take mine instead. And then, of course, what did Zoro do? He wordlessly and he silently took Sanji out. And it's not about strength. They were literally betting their lives. They weren't about to fight Kuma. They had no idea about the pain bubble. It was their life. And I think everyone fucking forgets about that. Why in the world would Zoro just take Sanji out like that? If that didn't stress him, if he didn't care about this guy, Sanji said, no, take my life. And Zoro, in my opinion, was so infuriated by that because Sanji said to Zoro, find another cook. What about your dream?
Yeah,
find another cook?
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, like, so I think Zoro got pissed when Sanji was like, you can't do that. Think about your dream. And Zoro was like, you have a dream too, you bitch. Like, I feel like Zoro was like, what? Like, he was angry. He was hot. He was like, no, you're not doing this.
It's the fact that Sanji basically said, you can just replace me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm replaceable. That, in my opinion, pissed Zoro the fuck off, that a crewmate that he cares about is saying this to him. So, of course, he's going to wordlessly take him out with, like, his sword hilt. Because how dare you? How dare you think that you're this nothing to me? That you're this nothing to us, you know? So all these people that saying Zoro could kill Sanji, he couldn't even let Sanji go. in a thriller bark, and you think he can just kill this guy? You think that this is just someone he can just let go of? You know what I mean? This is his crewmate. This is not some guy to Zoro. This is his crew. That's his family. He can't kill this guy. It would break him. It would tear him apart.
I was about to say, even if he could, he would literally have PTSD. It wouldn't be worth it. It truly wouldn't be worth it. Like, he would literally become a completely different character. That would haunt him for the rest of his life. So I don't think he'd be able to do it at all.
He wouldn't be able to do it. And also, he's very... I've talked about this, and everyone, you know what I mean, about Zoro. He's got a soft heart. Zoro's very soft.
Yeah.
He's a very soft-hearted guy. He looks tough. That's the thing. That's the whole point. That's his contrast. He looks scary. He looks tough, but he's incredibly soft-hearted.
Yep.
And Kuina means so much to him that he's still carrying her sword around. He's still grieving her. Zoro couldn't even handle losing Kuina.
Yeah.
He can't handle another death. That's not something
That's
he can
a good
handle.
point.
Death is an incredibly sensitive topic to Zoro. It's incredibly sensitive to him. Death is something that very much scares him. The death of his crew, his family, his friends scares the shit out of him because he's gone through that once, and look where that's brought him. That's like part of his whole person. The death of one person that he cared about has become his whole deal. How could he possibly lose someone else? That would shatter him. And so many people want to be like, he acts stoic, and he's stoic. He acts stoic because he thinks he needs to be stoic. He's not stoic, but such a soft heart.
Yeah.
An incredibly soft heart.
Like you said, the fact that he's still carrying the Wano Ichimonji, the fact that he has that, he's still carrying that sword, and it's just a testament to how much he means what he says and how much he still misses Kuina, his childhood friend, like from all those years ago. And that is tragic. I wonder if he's gonna talk about that at all with anybody ever, if he's gonna have a reason to, you know, like if something. That's why I want more stuff to come out about Kuina, so that Zoro can have an excuse to be like, oh, I heard about that, or I know about that, and you know, just more stuff about what happened to her and what she means to Zoro, because I feel like he just needs to get it out. I really think he still needs to talk about it at least a little bit.
Well, imagine, like, because this is so, like, I'm seeing the panels in my head so romantic and shoujo filled, but imagine, like, how poetic it would be if he has to kill Sanji and he's holding Wano up for the final strike, right? And he's like, I can't do it because he's holding the sword of his dead best friend, and he can't possibly use this to kill the current living friend in front of him. Like, imagine the drama there. Imagine the symbolism there. That he's holding, right? He's holding the literal reminder of his like, dead friend that he's still grieving, having to use that to kill his current friend.
I would love that. I also want, and imagine that's happening. He's holding up the sword, he's crying, and he's like, I can't do it. Then Luffy walks in like, hey guys, what's going on? What's
Luffy's like, Zoro?
Yeah, what's
Get off of it.
what are we doing in here? I really want to see the direction they take this, because you've been talking about Zoro crashing for a while. I think there's like, that is like damn near imminent, to be honest. After what Gabon just said, I think we're really about to watch him crash the fuck out. I think that is about to happen for sure. Sanji, really, if you think about it, Sanji's been on the path to crash out since, I would say since Wano, the whole raid suit thing. I would say since then, because Whole Cake Island, we kind of got some resolution. And Wano, now that, the way that I look at the mutation now, I don't think anything was solved. I think that was just the introduction to, like, what's happening. And he's been fine since Wano and an egghead. Yeah. But like,
no, that's what I've said. Wano is the introduction of his mutation. Mm-hmm. It is not the end of his mutation. Like, because so many people, I think, go, I don't want Sanji to have another arc. And it's like, I don't know how to tell you this, man, but it looks like he's about. We have a new thing introduced to us, and that is Sanji's mutation. It's been introduced. I don't think it's gone. I don't think it's going to go away. I think it's going to be a pretty evident plot point for Sanji from now on.
Dude, Bell, what if, could you imagine we're going back to Whole Cake Island, baby? to get another arc, and for some reason we gotta go back to Whole Cake Island with Sanji.
We're going back to whole cake, but this time Luffy's like, I'm going by myself. Bye!
Yeah.
Bye everyone, I'm gonna go get Sanji.
I'm gonna go get Sanji.
Again.
I'm gonna go get Sanji
It's like,
again.
I'm back in the fucking building
Yeah.
again. I think it's just so many people. I think the reason they're so against Sanji mutation theory is because Sanji gets so much. He just gets so much that they're like, I don't want him to have another one. And it's like, I don't know how to tell you this, but I think it's gonna keep going until the end of One Piece.
I was about to say, like, I don't know how to tell you that my goat is just like that. He's just got that many rings. I don't know what you want me to say. Like, there's so much to work with, and I think it's time people stopped, like, because you're right, they are just hating. They just don't want Sanji to have more narrative focus, when it's like, I don't know what you want me to say. Oda enjoys fleshing out Sanji as a character. I don't know what you want me to say.
But that's the other thing, right? I've also talked about, guys, Zoro has something happening. Something's building. He's clearly getting focused right now. He's clearly having something going on. Because they're like, I want Zoro's Whole Cake Island. I want Zoro's Whole Cake Island. But then when Zoro starts, like, having these moments of
They don't notice
insecurity,
it. They do not notice it, Mel. I get so frustrated. They don't notice
they
any
don't
of it.
notice it. Or when I point it out and I say, guys, this is Zoro's arc. This is Zoro's character. This is where he's going. They say, not like that. Like, I wanted a Zoro, like, centric, but not like that. They just basically want a Zoro arc where all he does is be cool. They just want him to aura farm. That's quite literally what they want. And it's like, that was never going to happen. Zoro's arc was always going to be something surrounding insecurities that he has. Because that's what One Piece is.
That's what they want from Usopp
writing.
too. That's what they want from Usopp too. It's what no matter what happens that Oda does, because like when you're writing this story, I would imagine it's hard juggling so many things happening with so many different characters. So I always looked at it like Oda's not going to force anything just because he hasn't done anything for Usopp in a while. He's not going to do that because it's not the type of writer Oda is. Oda is definitely the type of writer that he's comfortable waiting thousands of chapters if it means the payoff that he wants and it's going to be worth it. So it's like I guess they want Usopp being quote unquote useful, which is like, that line of thought is why we did Water 7 and Enies Lobby. It's why we went through that. And it's why Sanji's reaction, like, that was what that was for. So for the audience to still have, like, to project those insecurities onto Usopp, like, you need to be doing more, you need to be useful, when the story has already given us the answer to why, like, he shouldn't have that insecurity. I'm just like,
yeah.
I don't know.
It's like we've already gotten past this.
Yeah.
Why the fuck are you still hung up on it?
Like, come
and
on,
Oda
man.
said he'll always keep Usopp a coward. He's never changing that, because that's what makes Usopp an enjoyable character. That's what makes him stand out. That's why I like him. And I feel like I can see me on the page. If I were in Onigashima, I'd be running around going, ah! I mean? Like,
I'd be with Usopp and Nami.
I'd be fucking sobbing.
We would be running around.
That's what Usopp is supposed to be. He's supposed to be a brave, regular Joe. That's the point. And he always will be. And when he does something cool, that's like the coolest thing we've ever seen, because he's a fucking regular guy. That's the point. And so many people just don't get that. But you made me think about this. This is also why I think Sanji's mutation is going to continue to be relevant, because the way I see One Piece is currently in 3 segments. 1, 2, 3, Saga 1, Saga 2, Saga 3, and that's pre-time skip, time skip, Emperor. So Wano was the end of the second saga. We're now in the first saga. The third saga, Egghead, was the introduction to that. And in Onigashima, so much was introduced to us. Gear 5 was something that was introduced to us. Luffy being an emperor has now begun. Joy Boy, in general, was, like, released, right? Zoro's Conquerors for the first time was released, and Sanji's mutation. But specifically, Gear 5, Conquerors, and mutation, those are the 3 things that we were introduced to in the final saga, because that was the final boom that Oda was giving us in Onigashima. These are the final introductions of, like, power for these characters. And of course, power is always connected to character in One Piece. He'll always make sure that that's a thing. Power will always correlate with character no matter what for Oda. And I appreciate him so much for that. He doesn't just give out power willy-nilly. Power will always, always, always mean something to character. So now we have in the third saga, we've got Luffy having to deal with Gear 5 and Joy Boy. What does this mean? We now have Zoro realizing he's got Conquerors. And Conquerors is something he clearly is going to have to learn through, right? He doesn't exactly seem to be a natural with it because he didn't even know he had it. This is going to be a Zoro learning arc. I don't want to say training arc because it's going to be more like a stumbling and tripping and standing back up arc. Do you know what I mean? Like he's going to have to figure this out. So then for Sanji, what is it? It's got to be his mutation. That's got to be what's clinging to him. Because this has got to be what he's got to go through, what he's got to learn through. This is what Oda does. This is literally character writing, right? This is story writing. Onigashima was like the second act of this play of One Piece. The second act has introduced huge things to us. We are now in the third act where what has been introduced to us will now be expanded upon and learnt and taught through. And that's Gear 5 / Joy Boy, Zoro's Conquerors, and Sanji's mutation. I don't know what else that could possibly be at this moment in time, you know? And that can also be said, by the way, because I know at this point, you're going to have to label this video like 11:55 in bracket Shuggy. Sorry, 11:52 in bracket Shuggy. But that's also what he did with fucking Buggy and Shanks when he introduced what Buggy actually wanted. When he showed their ending, right? When he showed their breakup. That's a new concept that was introduced to us. He is now expanding upon it as we get to Elbaf. Which is why it's like, I'm literally seeing Oda writing his whole series like a 3-act play. We've gotten past the introduction, Act 1. We've gotten past the middle, Act 2. Now we're really getting to the conclusions and we're really getting to the big things, which is Act 3. At least that's how I'm seeing it now.
So many people are now coming out. There's so many videos that are being recommended to me for some reason about, it's like Wano, the arc that, the worst arc in One Piece and stuff like that. And I just...
Zoro didn't kill Kaido.
Zoro did not kill
Bum
Kaido.
arc.
That's true. Bum
You
arc.
didn't get Gear Death?
Didn't
Bum
get Gear
arc.
Death either. Yeah.
The funniest thing is the only thing I can think of that made me go, oh, a bit with Wano was how Big Mom was handled. That was it, because her amnesia was silly. That was the only thing that made me go, huh? But everything else, I was like, this is huge. I'm watching a lot happening here. Even Kinemon, a lot of people were upset about Kinemon not dying, about Kinemon surviving, and it's like, that's kind of the whole point, that he is an ironically lucky samurai, even though a samurai's whole thing is to die.
Is to die, yeah.
And Kinemon can't even fucking die in battle. He's lucky and he doesn't want to be.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that's when you get Usopp saying, you literally, like, are blessed with this luck.
Yeah.
And you're still trying to kill yourself. You need to cling to life with snot dripping from your nose, right? That's what you need to do. That's the whole point of Kinemon.
People don't, and people don't see it. And I bet what Oda would say, no, this is a matter of reading comprehension, because that scene when they're riding the boats to Onigashima and Kinemon gets lucky. I forgot how he gets lucky, but he gets lucky
because he wrote the wrong character.
Yeah. And he's just sitting there. It's just like, oh, they were literally all about to be murdered in the middle of the sea like that. Like everything was gonna be, because Kinemon got lucky. Like, that's like, and yeah, that was a gag, but it's like Oda writes a lot of his gags to be intertwined with not only the story, but the characters involved in them. And I think it's really cool that he's kind of just like this unlucky samurai, or just this lucky samurai, but by Kinemon's own... Like, to him,
to a samurai, he's unlucky.
Yeah, he's unlucky because
anyone else, he's lucky.
He can't die like a regular samurai, which is why, like you said, Usopp coming out and being like, okay, so you've got it backwards. You need to keep living. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something. I'm trying to, in good faith, every time it comes up, I try to find something I truly didn't like about Wano. The one thing I wished would have happened is Zoro killing Orochi, but even then, Denjiro killed him, and the guy that was literally twisted, like his face was twisted by hatred. You know,
Why did you want Zoro to kill Orochi?
Because of the Yasue thing when he was like when he was talking to Hiyori.
I see.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because that never crossed my mind because I always saw Orochi was always connected to Hiyori and Denjiro. Like majorly connected to them.
And that's true.
I never thought.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, I never thought Zoro would kill Orochi. He's a pirate, you know. He's not about to kill the previous shogun of Wano.
I wanted like some catharsis. When that happened, what I didn't do was go, oh, El Wano, like it's Wano's fault because that didn't happen. Instead, it made me look at Denjiro and Hiyori because, like you said, I always tied Hiyori to Orochi because it was clear how much she hated him. But the thing that made me want Zoro to do that is because Zoro shared that scene with Hiyori, and so it seemed like okay, maybe they're setting this up. I thought maybe, but then when the scene with Denjiro happened, like the guy's face is literally twisted by how much he hates this guy and how much he hates like what happened, and then Hiyori
to
was
work
there
with this guy.
Yeah, literally.
He was Orochi's personal samurai.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
I never thought that was undeserved. I just wanted some catharsis. But yeah, it turns out I didn't need that to happen. No one needed him to get revenge for Yasue. So I'm trying to think of anything else. I loved Wano. I think all of it was really good. Maybe hopefully one day people will come around, but I don't know. I haven't heard any argument.
They will. Wano is going to be reread, like, once people start catching up, right? And they're going to be like, why did anyone say this arc was bad? Because the only reason people say the arc was bad is because they were reading it week to week and they were expecting things. I don't know anyone who has read Wano in full once catching up and has thought Wano was bad. I know a few of them. None of them have been like, I thought Wano was bad. They all thought Wano was a fun and exciting arc. It's just reading it week to week and being stuck in fucking theory piece and echo chambers of what should happen just totally ruined Wano's perception for some people because they have a what if in their heads.
Exactly. And it's like the biggest thing for me I feel like happens with them is they go, oh, we didn't get resolution on this and that. And they're talking about a story that is not done yet. And it's like I've never understood those arguments. Like they want all of
craziest one.
It's the craziest thing to me. They wanted all of Kaido's backstory, and I was like, well, I don't think he would ever give us that where we were. To be completely honest, I know that's what you want.
This is why.
Come on.
This is why I always tell people. I remind them, One Piece is not single arced. It's not a single arc story. It's an overarching story. Every single thing we read will come back around, because it's not. Oh, read Alabasta, done. Read Skypiea, done. You don't just, like, we're not just on this one adventure for this one arc. That is important. It's a secret tool that will be used later. Like,
literally.
Every single time people say, oh, he didn't wrap it up. And I'm like, yeah, because the story's not done. What do you mean he didn't wrap it up? He's still fucking writing the story.
That's what I'm saying. For me, I understood that in Arlong Park. You know, that's when I understood what One Piece was and how much I needed to pay attention to everything because, like, everything's going to tie into the end. If nothing else, at least the end of the arc that we're on, for God's sake. But literally Arlong Park ties into things happening right now. Like, things from chapter 1 tie into things that are happening right now. And, like, you know, I don't understand that argument. Like, everything's still, I don't know, there's just nothing there to really engage. Like,
it's an argument for people who skip arcs, I think. That's at least my opinion.
God. Well, that must be why I don't understand it. That must be why I don't get it at all.
Well, TLDR, I think everything that we will see from Shanks in the future, or a lot of what we'll see from Shanks in the future, we're going to get a lot more Buggy. We're going to get a lot more Buggy from him. Because again, I keep saying it, it is now pretty clear to me that Buggy is Shanks's vulnerability. Buggy is Shanks's soft spot. To the point that he's even brought up that he wanted to live with him. So now as Shanks is being humanized, Buggy will probably also come along with him. I can't see a point for why Shanks would bring up Buggy to this extent if that were not the case. At all. Why would Oda have Shanks just mentioning Buggy out of nowhere, saying, I wanted to just be with Buggy, without Buggy being a crucial point for Shanks?
I just
He has
feel
to be
like
crucial.
I hate that, like, you explaining that it feels like you're just explaining to the class. Like, I just can't see anything else. Like, to me, like, all of these things are obvious. But then again, like I said, you'll get on Twitter and people will be like, I just don't get it. Like, what agenda is this? I'm not, like, I don't understand.
The agenda of people caring about each other.
That's what I'm saying, dude. They don't have to make out for this to be really sweet for them to, like, think of each other this way. Like, I don't, like... It just feels so disrespectful to have to explain what just feels so obvious. Like, even, yeah, maybe they won't kiss, but it's like, thinking you would throw it all away just to do laundry and taxes with a clown? Come on, dude. Like, that's at least, like, that's beautiful.
You remember, when Shanks was little, he gave up seeing the One Piece.
Yeah, for Buggy! For Buggy!
And I remember telling people back in the day, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's really insane. The One Piece is the world's greatest treasure. It's everything. It's literally called One Piece.
He don't want to do it without Buggy.
This is the major MacGuffin of this story. This is everything. The world centers around the One Piece. And yet, Shanks said, I don't want to see it. I can sail with Buggy one day to see it. And you know why? Because it's very possible that Shanks' world does not go around the One Piece. It goes around someone else. The person that very probably he gave up seeing the One Piece for. Which again is crazy. You don't just do that in One Piece's world. You don't just go, yeah, I'll look after. Because the Roger Pirates didn't go, oh, okay, we'll stop. We'll all stop and look after Buggy. It was Shanks that did that.
Literally just
Specifically,
Shanks.
It was Shanks. And he wasn't doing that because he was like, oh, you guys go off with it. It was, no, I want to look after Buggy.
And I don't want to go there if it's not with Buggy. That's what's crazy. He said, I'll go there with Buggy one day, maybe. It's like, that's crazy.
That's how much this clown means to him. Which is why this scene was so... The validation was crazy. Because it was always there. It was always, always, always there that Buggy just meant so much to him. And now, I can say it for a fact.
Yeah.
It's no longer speculation, it's fact.
Yeah.
This is how much this guy meant to him. Because I've had people be like, oh, we always knew. We always knew. No, the fuck we didn't always know. And I know we didn't always know because every time I brought this up, I'd be called insane. That's how I know we didn't always know. Because everyone would say I'm the crazy lady for trying to bring this up. Now I'm not crazy. Now I'm just a stupid shipper, apparently, because I can't be anything intelligent to these people.
They're treating you like you a conspiracy theorist, like wearing a tinfoil hat, like the clowns or the clowns and the rats are fucking. I was just gonna say, if his nose isn't from his devil fruit, does that mean that you can just genetically be born a clown? Like, is he genetically a clown?
Yes.
So does that mean then that there is an island full of clown people? That's so fucking funny.
See, here's my crackpot theory. Laugh Tale is inhabited
by clowns.
Yes, my food. It's called Laugh Tale. Now, what makes you laugh?
That's why they all laughed. They were like, "This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my entire life."
Everyone is a clown.
Or they were laughing because they were like, "Wow, we should have brought the clown. If this like his people are all here." Oh my god. Listen to me. No, fuck that. I'm writing that. I never want to forget that. I literally never want to forget this. I want to. I was
inhabited by clowns.
I need the One Piece to be nothing but clowns. I actually think if Oda does that, he's just gonna scare the shit out of so many people. Like that's somebody's nightmare.
But I've always loved the symbolism between Shanks and Buggy because I would say it as a joke, but it's serious, and I really do think this is what Oda's doing. That Buggy is a clown. He's literally the genius jester. He's a scary clown. And Shanks, of course, is the king. Shanks and Buggy are literally the king and their jester. That's the whole point. And it's very clear that when Shanks was with Buggy and around Buggy, Shanks was pretty happy. And then Buggy says, "You're a coward, I'm not joining up with you," and he leaves. And now suddenly Shanks is a bit down in the dumps.
Depressed.
He's a bit
Yeah,
depressed.
he's depressed.
This is literally Shanks had a clown that made him smile. He had a jester that made him happy. And then when the jester left, he's not happy anymore. I truly think that's what this symbolism is between Shanks and Buggy. That this was just a clown that brought Shanks joy. And now Shanks has lost that joy. I seriously, genuinely think that's what the symbolism is meant to be. And I know I say that like a joke, but it just seems more and more real the more we read One Piece.
God, that's so tragic. I wonder, in a different life, that could have been Luffy and Usopp. Whenever Usopp, if their fight had just like lasted for literally years, and it would have literally been a completely different fight and happened a completely different way, but it would kind of be like that. Like I think Luffy would have, like if they would have left Water 7 without Usopp, I don't know how they were just gonna have to all pretend that they were fine with it for the rest of their life. And
yeah, no, the Straw Hats would have collapsed.
Yeah, they would have
100%
100%. Like that would have been too much for anybody to handle. And Shanks lived through that though. Like that's literally Shanks's like entire thing. But then again, like you said before, if his crew don't even know him the way that Buggy and the Roger Pirates know him, that's kind of sad because that means that even in his most private moments with the people that he's surrounded by, he's still being this character that he needs the rest of the world to think that he is. And the whole time he doesn't even want to be that. The whole time the only people who really know him are the clown that doesn't want anything to do with him and the Roger Pirates that he doesn't really see anymore. But everybody else, he's just the red-haired pirate Shanks.
That's what stuck out to me. When he's visiting Rayleigh and when he's visiting Gabon, he's by himself. His crew's not around him.
Oh, fuck, that's true.
So I'm like, I don't know what his crew know about him.
Oh, my God.
I want to think because, like, remember at the beginning when Shanks was going, oh my God, Luffy, they took Luffy. And the crew was like, Ben was like, oh my God, calm down. I want to think that they know him. I do. But it's tough because I don't see them around him much. Not in his vulnerable moments anyways. I don't see them around him much. So it's tough to really say. But I want to believe that they know him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it's just a bit sad.
I do too, but when you said that is depressing because especially when you mention that, when he goes to talk to the Roger Pirates, Rayleigh or Gabon, like he's just alone. So what if he's literally like, I'm going out to get a pack of cigarettes, I'll be back. And he's literally just doing that. Oh my God, that's so sad.
Shuggy, baby. Imagine how much Shanks' crew has heard about the clown. The clown. They're just trying to have a nice fun night having a drink, and then Shanks is like, I loved someone once. And they're all like, oh God, he's doing it again.
That's really funny. It reminds me of this clown I knew before. He used to do that same thing, and they're like, oh, here he goes with this shit again. Okay. He sings karaoke songs.
Dome. Can you imagine though? Because I feel so bad for Ben. I feel so bad for Ben. What is his name? Ben Beckman? Beckham?
Yeah.
Beckman? I never know his stupid name. Beckman. Sorry, but it's like I feel bad for him because it's pretty, I'd say, undeniable that Buggy would be the first mate. Had Buggy joined Shanks. Imagine knowing your sloppy seconds. Imagine knowing you're the second pick. That would like eat me up from the inside out that I'm not Buggy.
Yeah.
I'm not the clown. I feel kind of bad for him about it.
I think everyone in Shanks' life that really knows him probably has that feel. Like I think Mihawk to some degree feels that way. Even though Buggy's not a rival to Shanks, I feel like Mihawk is like, okay, so if you're just going to talk about the clown every time we fight, I just feel like your mind is somewhere else. Maybe if your heart's not in this, maybe we'll just, I don't know, man. Like, let's just like, I feel like everybody.
Mihawk's like, why'd you say someone else's name while we were fighting?
Oh my God. But for real, I think like this really puts it in. That's why I was so happy when this chapter came out, because first of all, I knew how you were going to react. I didn't know you would just like become a puddle on the ground. That was reasonable reaction, but I did not know that's what it would do. But
it came together, yeah.
Yeah. It all came together. Like there's nothing. To me, there's no other way to read this. Like that was the most yearny thing I think anyone's in One Piece has ever said. I really cannot think of somebody that said anything even a little bit more yearnful than that.
Well, there's Luffy saying, "Without you, I can't become Pirate King." That was pretty good.
That was really real bad. I don't know if that beats this though. Saying I would have thrown it all away to do that, like I don't know. Like that's Luffy said I can't achieve my dream without you. Shanks said you were my dream. Like that to me, I don't know. I got to give that to them, honestly.
That's true. That's pretty true. It is hard to beat.
That's tough. I really cannot think of anything else more romantic than that.
In another life, I just wanted to do
Laundry
and taxes.
taxes.
Laundry and taxes.
He's for real. They are truly those two people. Man, that's the
That's so beautiful.
It is. That's why I'm upset that we have to explain this to people that just get angry at it. There's so much to be happy about here, guys. That's what I'm angry. Like, you could literally just be happy.
This is love and joy.
Yeah.
I was happy. I felt so much joy, and they were like, ew. How dare you feel joy? How dare I enjoy myself? Like, right? How dare One Piece make me go, whoa, my God, happiness, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you can cut this out if you want. How miserable do you have to be to see someone else getting joy from something they're watching and go, this is pathetic? Because I never look at someone, like, I never look at the videos of guys seeing Zoro unlock his conquerors going, whoa! And I never think, how pathetic. I just think that's so cute. Like, that's so cute. Look, they're just so happy. They get joy from Zoro unlocking cock, from his leaking cock. I get joy from Shanks saying, man, I miss Buggy.
I think a lot of people want to talk about this, but maybe they feel the same thing that you did posting even just like a little bit about it. Maybe they feel like I can't tweet about this. I can't talk about it because somebody's going to quote tweet it, like saying like, oh, look at this nonsense. So I don't know. You can talk about it here in these comments. I just want to make that perfectly clear. I will love every single one.
You can Shuggy out.
You can Shuggy out. Shuggy out in the comments.
Shuggy it out.
Shuggy it out. What about you though? Closing thoughts on Shuggy?
I think I've said everything. Mainly just I was right.
Yeah, actually, yeah, no, you need to do your victory tour. Like, use this time to for real just be like, they're just mad because like you straight up like we're just.
They're mad. I was right. I was right. Shanks missed Buggy. He missed him. He wanted him, and that's why he's depressed. They're mad. A stupid shipping girl who likes gay things is right. And I will keep being right, damn it. I will keep being right. They're mad that gay shipping is actually a sign of media literacy. They are fuming at that. So, I was right, basically. And I think from here on out, I really do think the more vulnerable moments we get from Shanks is going to contain Buggy. Because again, Oda has brought this across that Shanks is very soft on Buggy, incredibly soft on Buggy, so much so that he just wanted to be with him, so much so that he gave up seeing the One Piece for him, so much so that all he wanted was Buggy to come with him, and that threw his plans askew. His life has been upturned because of that. Like now he's stuck on a path that he doesn't seem to want, because he just wanted to be on a path with Buggy. And that's it. That's really the final thoughts. I just can't wait to see like how Shanks will be further humanized from here on out, and how much angrier people will be every time he brings up Buggy the Clown.
I was really hot about that whenever I was reading the tweets. I know we kind of got off topic, but I was genuinely like, I'm not going to say anything because I know that that's not what anyone would want. But at the same time, like it just does suck. I wish that didn't happen. So I was pretty upset.
Just remember, Goofy, I'm happier than them.
True, yeah, you're right. You're right.
I'm happier than them, and I was also right. So yeah. They can't say anything to get me. They just can't.
Yeah, you're right. No one can take away how happy you are in that moment. And you know what? The good times will probably keep rolling. Oda's going to be like, yeah, and that's true, and then that's true, and then that's true. Oh my God.
I will put on my Spotify playlist, I will close my eyes, and I will think about Shanks and Buggy kissing. And you can't stop me. No matter what happens, you can't stop me. You cannot take away my yaoi. It's not happening.
Oh my God. But yeah, there you guys have it. Shuggy. Any final words, Mel?
Shanks fucks clowns. That's my final word. Clown fucker. We knew it all along.
Shanks lays awake at night. He's even got an account on clownpeoplemeet.com, like Clown Tinder or Clown Hinge or something. And
You know
he's
what
just like-
Shanks is doing in his room? Could you hear?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think I'm yeah, that is actually the end of the video. I'm not even gonna, there we go.